Happy Labor Day weekend. Happy Sunday to all the gig people out there and anybody else. Thank you for watching. Thanks for being here. And if you're watching a replay, let us know in the comment section as I'll be looking at those tomorrow morning. This week, interesting week in the gig economy. A lot of things happened. We're going to go over some things, maybe a few stories, some things that I think's going to be transpiring in the next, we'll say, calendar year, plus or minus some months, some things in just the next few months. But first, before we get started, thumbs up in the chat if you guys could hear and see me okay. I appreciate that. I'll give some shout outs in just a minute. I see Jeffroy, Kev. What's up? PPP. I see Belinda. How you doing, Pedro? I had a good week. Jeremy, what's up, man? How are you? Jessica, thank you for the thumbs up. The first one in the chat. Appreciate that. So, Dexter, Jeremy, what up? Big Carl, what up, bro? How you doing, man? So, lot of things happening, right? But I guess tonight's live is an extension of the video that came out about 4 hours ago or so. Cray, what up, girl? Thanks for being a channel member. Appreciate you flexing on them. Hope you're doing well. Hope your family is well. Hope you are well, and bless you. Bud Soda, always a pleasure. Good to see you, man. So this is an extension of the video that I made. It came out at 5 o'clock my time, so a few hours ago, well, 4 hours ago my time, talking about a great reset coming. Whether it's in DoorDash or Uber or Instacart or Spark, or we'll call it the gig economy, right? And I believe that resets, and it's a word I'm using. Not that it's going to reset your matrix or reset this or reset that, right? Not that those things might not happen, but it's a metaphor, right? I think that's what the kids are calling it, right? Reset meaning in any or most sectors of work, things that you do, you exchange. Everybody at some point, most people exchange your time for money. W-2, independent contracting, building a business, self-employed, some contractor, a tradesman, whatever, a skill that you have. There's resets in lines of work. Typically, resets happen, meaning things get reset, right? Job markets get reset, pay, the structure, a bonus plan, a saturation level, legislation, unions. Things are impending within the gig economy. And whether you like them or not, or you agree, these things are happening. Some will be more impacted than others depending on where you live. Because legislation these aren't federal laws where it's like mandated in every state or every city, right? It will be dependent upon your city, your state, and how serious those people are that want a union or want legislation. Anyways, but tonight's show and the open link will be open, so if anybody wants to join and have a dialogue about how you're feeling about it, what you're going to do to prepare for it, because I want to remind us of one thing here. When things happen that are forced by us, good or bad, and I agree some things obviously need to change, the reaction to that, what we want or what's going to happen, or what a politician puts in, or what a lawman puts in place for us, right? The apps always react. Give you a couple examples. Things happen in Seattle with like this minimum pay and all these crazy fees now the customers have to pay. The customers reacted in not ordering as much. The apps reacted in other ways. Capping the amount of drivers that could be out there because there wasn't enough volume. That impacted some, helped or hurt others. These apps will always react. They've even said in places like Minneapolis, I believe, at some point at the end of 2024, maybe beginning of 2025 this year, they were going to pull out of some cities because they said they wouldn't be able to afford to have that app. The customers would have to pay crazy prices. And then in the last minute of the last hour, they say, no, we're going to stay, and then they crack a deal. This happens in a lot of sectors, not just a gig economy. So a reset is going to happen. We're pushing the needle in the envelope to say, I want this. I want a union, or I want legislation, or I want more money, or I want this, I want that, I want that. Nothing wrong with those things necessarily. But when that reset happens, and the reset will be caused not so much by us, in my opinion, we will be the catalyst for it with the help of maybe other people or other entities. However, the reset happens with the apps because they have all the power and all the control, at least right now. We have voices, and there's power and strength in numbers and things like that. But the apps will always react with lower base pay, less opportunity, deactivations of drivers for whatever reason so that they can bring new people in that don't know any better. That, I believe, will be the main thing. I think that will be a main factor in how they will react. Or I think some of us want no metrics. I believe in 2026 we will see more metrics on every app than ever before, and they will be more important. Goes into a segue, and I'll say hi to everybody in the chat. Hit that thumbs up for the content. If you want to leave a super chat to contribute to the show, feel free. Listen, I got a email from Roadie. Roadie is an app that I work a little bit. There's some weeks I make $20 on Roadie. Some weeks I make 100. It's kind of all over the place. It's a filler app for me, mostly CVS prescriptions. That's most of what I do. And then the occasional Home Depot, occasional Walmart. Okay? But not a lot. It's a filler, filling in time. They're starting metrics on that app. Now, that's an open board type of app. So there's not like, they don't send you exclusive deals, right? At least not the Roadie app I have, right? They don't send you exclusive things, and there's no acceptance rate. But on that app, it appears to be, without them starting it, I would imagine they're going to measure things like how many times you cancel an order, like meaning you accept it. And then obviously there's like a bidding, and then they tell you get it or not within 10 minutes, usually in my market, sometimes sooner, right? How many times do you accept it and then cancel it before that? How many times do you go to a place and you drop an order? Because I've done that several times, probably at least a dozen times. I get to a Home Depot and the line is crazy, or I get there and it doesn't match. Like, it's telling me it's this, but then it's something else. That's happened a couple times. So those type of things you can be deactivated for. The app tells you that, or lose opportunity. But they're going to, on time to pick up, on time to delivery. That's the metrics that they can track. It's already being tracked. They have that information, but now they will pin driver versus driver, and all these other apps that might not have something. We've seen it with the catering now. Sometimes metrics come, they go away, they come, they're important, they're not. Delivered has things now, Deliver that's updating things. They're all going to have it at some point. Even your favorite app right now, where the metrics might not seem as stringent or they're not as important, they're going to do that. They're going to pin you against the fellow driver. And listen, hot take, and I mentioned this in the last couple of weeks, I'm not against that. I'm somebody that believes in fair competition, as long as the metrics are fair. That's my disclaimer, because some of them are not. But at the end of the day, the law of averages and the balances typically will weigh out. Now, while I don't believe AR should be measured because they send so much trash, I do think everything else should be taken into account when they are sending you things, or when they are thinking about you as potential gig driver to help fulfill their business needs. Because every other sector of business does it, even traditional independent contractor work. There's ratings and metrics, and I've talked about that, and you're not here for that. But I believe a great reset is coming. And today I want to talk about, what will you do about that? How will you react? Will you go back to a W-2? If unions come to your state, will you sign up? Will you not sign up? How much of an impact will that be to you? That's the question tonight. Because I believe there are a lot of different ways that people come and do this kind of work. And I believe some people want legislation, some people don't want legislation. But that doesn't mean that you're right or wrong for thinking either side of that coin, right? But the factor we're not thinking about, and I don't think most of us are talking about, is how will the companies react? Because we've seen them react before. And it's typically with more pressure on you. It's a give and take, and they will typically always win. Let me say hi to the chat. Appreciate y'all very much. Hit that thumbs up. The StreamYard link will be provided shortly. All right. Yeah, food delivery is a thing of the past for me. I think for a lot of people it is. I do think there are a lot of other ways, and I mentioned it in the video earlier. There's a lot of ways to make money within being an independent contractor. And you don't have to deliver food. Maybe it's shopping. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's another hustle. Maybe it's medical. There's a lot of things to do. Maybe it's a W-2. Are you going to bed? Yeah. Okay, good night. Bobby's in the middle. I love you. Can I say hi? You can say hi really quick. Everybody say good night to Ruby. Say good night, Ruby. Good night. Okay, love you so much. She loves to say goodnight. So there's a lot of different ways. Obviously, the food delivery game for some has been more roller coaster ride than it is for others, right? I do think some people are still really can make good money, but less than 10% of y'all, if you're doing it full time, and if it's just food delivery, are making it really make sense for you. And everybody else is just doing it because that's probably the only opportunity, or they just haven't gotten on to the next thing yet, right? Appreciate all. Yeah, everybody say hi to Ruby. Ruby. Um, I see all the hellos in here. Let me go back up to the top. I want to give some shout outs, see who's here. Obviously, we got Cray Cray, Jessica, the nice variety in the house, Mary B, Bud Soda, my man Jeremy's from the St. Louis area. We got Honda Man's in the house. I'm not reading the comments. I'm just saying the name, saying what's up. You guys got all the comments. Bring them in. Who else? Who else? Paul. I see Serge in the house. I see Tree 13. I see Anthony Molina. What's up? What's up? How are you? I see who else? Who else? I see a lot of the same people. I think this is a topic that some of you guys want to actually talk about and give some perspective. I see Mama Gigs. How are you? Pleasure to see you here. RT the brand. What up? What up? Chief Talk. I'm sorry. April, Teresa, Jeremy again. All right. Teresa email me. All right. All right. Let's hit that thumbs up. Oh yeah. Tell them, Big Car. Hit that thumbs up. All right, all right, all right. Jay Walk, my man Sam in the house. Oh, why did I think about you today? We gotta talk, man. I miss you, man. I hope you and the wife are well. Jay Walk in the building. I don't even need to say anything else. That just kind of made my day. I hit a 60%. I'm taking every order until I get to 70. Hey, if that works for you, great. My only challenge to you is crunch your numbers. If you're being profitable, I don't know your marketplace. Do what works for you, right? All right, so a reset is going to happen. And I think some people are really worried and scared because maybe they don't want unions or maybe they don't want legislation or maybe they're worried about continued saturation levels. They're worried about how the apps will react. How will you react? That's tonight's topic. When the reset happens, it happens in every sector of work, in every sector of life. Let's keep it a buck. I went to church today. I sometimes get inspiration from the things that I hear. And I'm not going to preach to y'all, okay? This isn't that. You're not here for that. But part of the message was reset. Just because something bad happened to you, gig economy, life, whatever, doesn't mean that you can't wake up the next day and reset something. We know the apps are going to react. How are we going to react? What is our move? Some of us are still playing checkers. In some forms of my life, I'm still playing checkers. I try to keep it easy and basic. In other forms of my life, I'm playing chess and I'm 3, 4 moves ahead. We need to be playing chess right now so that in 3, 4 months from now, when it's 2026 and things might start to feel different, because I think at the end of the day, mostly it's going to be the same. I'm going to say that right now, and I stand on record with this. There's a reset of things coming, but for the majority of us, it's going to be pick up, drop off. And we're going to be talking and complaining about the same things that we did in 2025 and 2024 in 2026. I stand by that statement. I put my channel name. And literally, I believe that's what's going to happen. Okay? But we can always reset our mind, our focus, our time, our energy, what we do. If you ain't making money on DoorDash, you got to stop. I've been deactivated from 2 apps in the last 14 or 15 months. 2 apps I was earning good money on. DoorDash and Spark. I haven't stopped working, the gig economy. You just adapt. You reset your focus. You reset your mind. Maybe you reset the time and days that you work. Maybe you reset a few other things to make it work out. Because the line of work that we do, 1, is very easy. 2, it's easy to get into for the most part in most markets. Some apps might have a waiting list, but if there's a waiting list on one, maybe there isn't on another, right? This stuff is the barrier entry, very low, very easy. Most of the apps are going to pay the same amount of money. Your market is what separates you from maybe other people that you see on YouTube or Reddit or Facebook. So a reset's going to happen. But mostly, the reset will more have to do with you than any piece of legislation or any unionization or anything that the apps do. Because we understand these things will happen to some degree or another, depending on where you live. You might not be impacted. Depending on where you live, you might be impacted extremely. Depending on where you live, it might be some changes, but you're not impacted at all because you don't choose to sign up for things. And the apps, they change some things, but at the end of the day, you adapt and you're still making the same money. Because most of you, if you're still doing this and you started doing it in 2021 and it's 2025, you've been doing it for 4 years, you're making about the same amount of money. Maybe an extra $2,000 or $3,000 a year because you changed some things, but that's not a lot of money over the course of a year. And if legislation and unions and things happen, you might make a little bit more or a little bit less. It's going to be about the same. So I do think, and I'll put myself included in this, I think we tend to overreact. We tend to theorize a little too much. We tend to try to predict things that are like the sky is falling, and it's probably not. A reset, a major reset, whatever you want to call it, doesn't mean that's bad. Doesn't mean that, oh my God, I'm going to lose all my apps. They're going to deactivate me. Oh my God, I have to join a union. Those things aren't happening. Oh my God, this legislation's coming. Oh my God, the big bad liberals are here to take my jobs. No, they're not. Everybody breathe and woo-saw and remember why you're here, how long you've been doing it, how much has really changed. And I'm talking significant. These little things, a little this, little that, minor things that we always find a way out of. Most of you that are watching right now have probably been watching for a while. I've made thousands of videos about this change, this update. Look at this update, DoorDash update. Oh my God, Spark did this. It seemed significant at the time, but the app mostly is the same. The interface might look a little different. Maybe there's an emerald here or a ruby there or a diamond here, but you still pick up, drop off, wait in a parking lot, pick up, drop off, shop, do this, case of water, no tip, really good tip, hidden tip. Oh my God, what happened here? It's slow, it's Labor Day. So tonight's stream is about that. Reset's coming, however that feels to you. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Because you need to be thinking about that now. So when things do change, if you feel they're going to change, you're prepared. You're ready. That I hope I can help one individual tonight and say, you know what? Okay, what can I do right now? How can I prepare myself if the reset happens and things do change and I'm forced to do this or I lose my opportunity or now I'm some kind of hybrid employee and I'm not an independent because this happened and this I don't like this legislation but I like this. How are you going to react? Think about that. Stay in the now. Be informed. All right, let's see. Vanessa, I'm ready for the reset. All right. Listen, another thing that history has taught us in this country, when there are resets, you have three kinds of people: the people that strive and benefit from them, the people that suffer and are impacted the most, and the people that suffered in the beginning of the reset but made their way out of it. That's it. Where are you going to be? Are you going to benefit the most? And most of us won't because we're not the decision makers. We're not the lawmakers. We're not, most of us won't. That's not a slight on any of y'all or me or anybody watching later. That's just the reality. Because when resets happen in history, gig economy, W-2, unions, laborers, this, that, bus drivers in NYC, my man Sam's in here, he's experienced things that change in his line of work. If you're a journeyman tradesman, if you're this, things happen. And typically the top dogs benefit. The middle pack have to figure it out and then they're usually okay. And then the ones at the bottom that can't figure it out and that are stuck on the ways that it used to be are the ones that leave and go to another line of work. And then that mindset travels with you. And the next line of work you go into, things will change. You won't like your boss. And then you'll stay in that space. I don't want you to stay in that space. You don't have to stay in that space. The reset going to give everyone the same piece of the pie. Adventure one, possibly Some would say that's the negative part of it. I don't want that. I don't want everything to be the same. I don't want, and I, you know, if I'm being honest, I struggle with that. There are times where I think, yeah, I want everybody to, have the same opportunity and, this, but then it's like, well, what is that? Oh, shouldn't we have competition? Shouldn't my metrics stand out? Shouldn't my marketplace knowledge, my on time, shouldn't those things mean something? Shouldn't the hard work mean something? The extra level of care, shouldn't that mean something? It means something everywhere else. I don't know. But then there's benefits to taking care of people at the bottom, so I do struggle with that at times. And in the gig economy, it's tough because so many people come in and out of it and they're here for a very short amount of time. So the ones that I think have the biggest opinion about it on this is you and I, because maybe we've been in it for 5 years plus, and we make full-time income, and like this impacts our families and our kids and our sons and our daughters and our wives and our husbands because we're really in it. But most people don't watch the videos, don't care about legislation, or because they're doing it for a month and it's like, I still got the app. I'm active as a dasher, or I got an active Uber account, or I'm active Instacart. But like my buddy that I saw on Saturday, he did Instacart years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, because he needed to, stopped, and then he just started back up again, I think in the last couple of months, and he does just a little bit. He's like, hey, if I can just make like an extra $100 a week, that's not a lot of money. It's $400 a month. That's great for his goals. Shout out to my boy, right? But that's that's not a lot. That's how most people work these apps. Food delivery, rideshare, shopping included. They're like, if I can make $100 a week, and what does that mean? That's one day, basically, or 3 or 4 hours on a Friday and Saturday night, back to back. So you know what I mean? That's how you get to $100. Or hey, I'm gonna work Sunday afternoon from 12 to 4. Boom, that's 4 hours. In most major cities, you can make $100 in 4 hours, 5 hours, 5 hours. That's very typical experience. And you don't need, and you're not impacted by a lot of the things that I talk about or the metrics as much. You just, hey, if I need to schedule, I'll schedule. I got this, and you make it fit in with your W-2 or your kids going back to school or your whatever. That's how most people work the apps. So they can care less about watching this live because they're not impacted as much, right? So the ones that are screaming and yelling and crying and worried, we are the extreme minority. Think about that. The ones that aren't worried as much are the majority of drivers because they do it just a little bit. And then the ones in the middle, right? The ones in the middle that just don't really pay attention to what's happening and going on, they're going to stay in it anyway, and they don't care either. Orlando Steve says, hard to get 105 hours in Orlando. I've heard that about Orlando before. Okay, so I'm going to share the link in just a minute, see if anybody else popped in, give some shout outs. Actually, before I share the link, I'll put some comments. I appreciate y'all for watching. Got 100 people in the building. Hit that thumbs up. Appreciate y'all on this beautiful Labor Day weekend. My man Marty in the house. What's Marty got to say? Let's put that comment up. Platinum in my market is 80%. Gold is also 80. That's great, Nate. But I don't know what you're talking about, Bud. Oh, you're talking about Bud Soda, maybe? I don't know. I missed it. Let's see this one here. Another YouTuber put out a video about using Dashlink and what an utter disaster the Dashlink interface is. It doesn't work. I've never done Dashlink. I've heard about it. I don't know anything about it, but I've definitely I've heard about that. Whatso says he disagrees. It's getting worse unless you're not on it. Maybe for some people it is. I don't know. I can't say mine has gotten worse, right? Jeff Roy, appreciate that. What up, Tim? What up? What up? What's up, Pedro? I'm here lurking. My man Tim, representing the STL, is lurking in the house. Craig says, Tim, making what's that say? Making no money. 1 month and birthday next Sunday, big 52. Ooh, thanks for being a member and happy almost birthday. Is this a 52? Beautiful, man. Happy birthday to you. Love that. Almost birthday, right? Love it, love it, love it. That was Nugs at the Dashlink. Did he? Okay, shout out to Nugs and Kayla. I think they're expecting a baby, right? Okay, so I think I got all those out the way. So a reset's coming. What you gonna do about it? Open topic, open link. I'm going to put the link up in just a moment here. And I appreciate everybody for stopping in and saying what's up. I tend not to. I know that I get listened. I know that I whine, I complain. I do believe we should be able to use our voices. I think when you stop using your voice, stop having an opinion, you die. I believe that, like inside, in anything in life, not just gig economy, because this is just work. I'm trust me, believe me, I am extreme. I'm way more passionate about other things in my life than work. I just have that persona on YouTube, and because that's how I just talk with my hands. Like this is who I am in real life. If you've met me, this is how I am. But like it is just work. There are bigger things. So that's why I say I'm not worried about anything when it comes to gig economy. My biggest thing about the gig apps is I don't like that they steal because they do that, and I don't like that they manipulate the customers and drivers. I don't like the shady backdoor deals. I don't like that kind of stuff. The white collar crime of it is more of an offense than anything else that they do. That's what I don't like. That's where I think they need to be hitting the pocketbooks to be held accountable. The other stuff, we can navigate. All of us have been here. We know how to find this, figure out that, boom, boom, boom. It's this work is very easy. Everything else that they do, we can have a counter move. Think about that. We've all had counter moves with that, right? Okay. Let me go ahead and share this link with you guys real quick. I'm gonna pop it in the chat right now. We doomed. It's resetting. H Town, Lily B. What's this? Does that say Lily B? Yeah. How are you? All these apps are resetting because of legislation used in every state. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen in every state. Adventure One, um, not going to happen in every state. It will happen in some major states, some of the blue states. First, we've already seen that. I'm not concerned about it. I'm not. I don't think it's going to impact us that much. I really don't. Once again, I could be wrong, but I've been hearing the sky is falling for a while now, and it hasn't fell yet. The apps are still around. They got more market share. They're bigger. They're employing more drivers than ever before, part time and full time. Like so, I think we have to look at the numbers. You know, I've been hearing DoorDash is dead. They're going to be gone in a year or two. They're not. And the same people that said that are they're not. They're not going anywhere. They might be dead for you, for some of us, and we stop doing it, which that's a good move. But it doesn't mean that that's the reality for most people out here working the gig economy, right? All right, so let me go ahead and post this real quick for you guys. If anybody wants to join, give some perspective, share some information. I'm looking for people to tell me how are you going to be impacted by the reset? Are you worried about it? It's coming. However you want to think about a reset, I mean, it's happening. And some would say some of their markets have reset already. And with Prop 22 in LA a couple years ago, that reset that whole state. Think about that, right? So if we have similar things that are going to happen in other places, not the same, but similar in the aspect of a reset, things changing, somebody hitting a reset button, now it's different. You get this, but you don't have that. That's what we're talking about tonight, right? All right, so let me go ahead and find, oh man, can I even, let's go. Let me pin this for you guys up at the top real quick. Like, if you've never joined the show and you want to come in, you got something to say, feel free. All right, YouTube. People still making 4K a month on DoorDash alone. Some are. The tariffs have definitely made my market in Houston area slower. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't seen St. Louis get slower, but that doesn't mean it's not. Because obviously, I don't do a lot of the food delivery anymore. I still have Uber Eats. That's really the only food delivery, and I don't do a lot of Uber Eats. I just don't. It's for the last like basically 6, 7 months. It's been mostly grocery delivery, grocery pickup, medical, last mile stuff, some rideshare here and there, some private clients. It's not a lot of McDonald's and Chipotle and Pizza Hut or they're still there. I'll do anything if it makes sense. But I haven't seen a decline in like the slowness or busyness either way for that. And I think we got to remember there's a lot of other factors that go into that. There could be volume. The order volume might be down for food, but up for shopping. That's just I know that to be true, right? But there's also things like with saturation levels. If I've got an extra 20 drivers in my zone one day versus the next, that makes a huge difference with how much Uber's, like how many times my thing's going to go off. How many Instacart batches am I going to see? If I go to Costco and there's 5 shoppers at the Costco tomorrow, but if I go and I'm the only one, you best believe I'm seeing way more stuff, right? So there's other factors in there that are out of our control, even out of the app's control, that has a lot to do with money and if you in the perception of busyness, right? I worked in restaurants a long time. We would have. I'll give a quick story before I bring anybody on. The StreamYard link is pinned for anybody who wants to join. We'd have floor charts, okay? And one of the places I managed at the casino, I had outlets, right? Asian cuisine, it was fancy restaurant, steakhouse. We had a buffet. We had a beer house. We had a Italian cuisine. We have a VIP lounge. There was like 6 restaurant outlets and the bar. If I had 10 servers on the buffet, right? 10 on a busy Friday night, right? It'd be like perfect, right? If I had 5 or 6 or 7, if I had 3 to 5 less people, I could do the same number, but it would seem way busier because it just. There are some Mondays I'd have three servers and we'd only open one side of the buffet, and they'd all work together and it was great because it was slow. But anytime it got a little busy, it felt busy, but just because it feels busy doesn't mean it's busy, right? Just because it feels busy doesn't mean it's busy. So I see Bud Soda wait. Anybody else want to join in? I'll give another minute or so. I think it's got to have been almost 2 years since, probably about a year and a half since Bud Soda's come on the show. Diamond card don't mean anything in a big city. I'll say this about Diamond Card real quick. I've seen that I've gotten orders. It does make a difference, and this is why. When you're dealing with drops at Costco or other places before they open, I see things if you have Diamond Card before than if I had Platinum or Gold because I tried it out. I'd have to wait to see orders, right? But now I see it at 9:45 or 9:50, and I have a good order. It's not always good, but I could have a good order before somebody else would even get one. So it definitely makes a difference. I've also seen priority access orders. It says priority, and they're good. I've had ones that, so I do think on Instacart, and based on the information that I've got from people that have got like, I watched one guy and I've been in correspondence with him on TikTok. He's got like 18,000 deliveries. That's a lot of deliveries on Instacart. I consider him an OG veteran. He knows a lot about the app. He says there's a difference. I'm going to trust that. I'm Diamond, and here is definitely makes a difference. Yeah, for sure. Now, in some markets, maybe based on your saturation, maybe everybody's Diamond, and then there's a difference there, right? But I've seen a difference. I've had Diamond, I believe, for 2 weeks. I think this was my second week of having it, and I didn't make a lot more money, but situationally, it made a difference. I didn't make more money really only because I didn't work as much, but situationally, if the timing aspect of it and not sitting as long waiting, that definitely made a difference. All right, let's bring Blood Soda up. Mad Dash, what up? What's this? A Sunday Live? OG, yeah, we bringing them back. I think this is the 5th one I've done in 6 weeks, so welcome back, man. Let's bring Blood Soda up. I don't want to lurking in the background. Bud Soda, what's up, man?
Living the hybrid life. Hi, Mad Dash. It's been a long time since I heard from him either.
We got some OGs in here. So you know what? First, let's do this. Catch me up on the hybrid life. Let me put us on. Let me do it like that. So what have you been up to? What have you been doing? Catch the viewers up. I love the hair. You look great, by the way.
Thank you. So I do line clearance, tree service work. So basically for the utilities around here, here it's National Grid. I wish I was on their side because I get more storm, aka more overtime, more bonus pay, stuff like that. But I work for one called NICEG. I work for Lewis Tree Service under 1249 IBU, which is a union job. And the union pay scale and what they do is like a big difference. So one thing that we've been pushing for on union side is transparency. So this is our contract. So when I was in before, they were being very shady and indecisive about sharing the contract details and like letting us voice our opinion. But since then, we raised a fit, and now we have this. So that's a huge progress in our world because, like the equipment, for example, before they did an audit of us, to make sure we're in safety compliance. Compliance meant if it's company issued or approved. Now the union tests all the new latest and greatest equipment, and if the union approves it, it's automatically in on any union company. So like Asplin's a major one, and they own like several different companies. Lewis is a big one, and there's other companies out there as well. But as far as the gig economy goes, there is possibilities with these disaster relief government contracts to do disaster relief work, whether it comes to tree work or roofing or just general cleanup. And that's something that me and Joe have always wanted to do long term. Joe being Driven Wild. We do a live stream every Thursday. And transparency is another thing I'm really, really big on. And Steve, Right Here Rodeo, if you guys don't know him, please check him out, is pushing for it. I don't know all the details. I haven't researched it enough yet. Joe's more the nuts and bolts guy and the idea guy and the talking head. But that's something that he's doing great. And he wants to push that Colorado legislation nationwide. I mean, you were part of that with Senator Priola, who originally shot down the transparency legislation. And he sat there and listened to guys like you, Steve, and Kim, who really made him understand what it really meant to work like us. And as far as the junior legislature there, oh my gosh, well, I can't remember her name, but she was there too. And
Stephanie
she's
Beho.
more, yes, Stephanie, thank you. She was more small L libertarian free market on that occasion because she understood how the gig economy worked. So if you guys do gig economy work, so let's say you do a catering app and you have a dispatcher that has done one of the gig apps. If you get one of those dispatchers, it's night and day between the others that just read the script over and over and over again. So like I had one on Food Fetch that used to do Postmates, and he understands how we work versus like the other one that just keeps repeating the script and like being overly demanding when I know what the heck I'm doing on Easy Care. So Tim Gigwise, for those of you who don't know, he said hi in here already. He is also working on legislation for your state and the transparency. So one thing that we discussed in our last live show was like having fair pay models for us, so there is a financial incentive in that transparency law because most states won't adopt it otherwise without any kind of financial incentive. Is catering within 72 hours. If they cancel it, they have to give you at least a minimum payment, or let's say 25% of the guaranteed gratuity. And the gratuity model could be based off what Easy Cater does. For example, Easy Cater has a guaranteed gratuity model. And then if it's within 24 hours, it has to be half what that guaranteed gratuity is. This is not the base pay, just the gratuity. And I think that's a very fair model because let's say these direct partners that Deliver That has, they often cancel last minute. So like, for example, he had a $180 offer in Miami, but it was a direct partner, Joe. But he said no to it because the likelihood it's going to be canceled before he can get it is that. And if it's not within the hour of you having to pick up the order, you get nothing.
So
and
let me ask you a question. Let me follow here. So
go ahead.
Are you on the side of that we need? We're talking about the topic tonight's reset. When a reset happens, how are we going to react? So are you are for legislation and
Yes.
or union, a hybrid of both? Because from what I understand in Colorado, right? I use it as an example since you brought it up. They have a deactivation policy, but there's
Yes.
union members.
There is a union
part
rep
of that
on that
council.
board that does that council. Yes, you are
Right.
correct.
So we have unionization within the legislation,
Yeah.
technically, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
are you thinking that that's how, like, are you in favor of these things happening as part of a reset, having legislation and or unions?
Remove that union member and make it the same way, because that was a compromise with them. for the deactivation policy because the union likes to brag that, oh, you're employees because I'm here. It's like, no, we just want a process on deactivation and appealing and doing these background checks where there's a human factor. Because you used like, okay, for example, if for whatever reason the background check didn't go through correctly because it is AI, you could talk to a human and get them to rerun it and boom, it goes through. Or when I tried to get on Uber, I had to go to the hub in Philly. And for a while, you could do video conferencing after that. Now that's all gone. Like you can't do any of that anymore. And they just said, oh, refer to Checker or Mamba or whatever this Sombra, I think it's called, whatever the freaking background check company is. And it's like, they don't even have that stuff anymore. So I've been deactivated off a few apps for more than a year, but less than 3 to 5, let's say, where they tend to forget who you are. And I can't get back on these apps. So right now, I'm just focusing on doing some roadie runs while I'm doing part-time stuff. And I have an SUV, so it's just convenient for me to do the bigger, bulkier orders. And I just think that there needs to be a fair process. So speaking of roadie, the changes they made recently, cancellation is only when you get accepted to the order. And that's the biggest key of independent contractor. A lot of that people like to forget. We got to hold up our end. That is on us. It's been in law for decades. So like since I think the 70s or 80s, because it was a trucker thing. So if we keep saying, oh, we'll do it and then backing out, yeah, we are held accountable. So that's fair. But anything based on acceptance rate for the offers we get is bad. So like you were talking about Instacart. Instacart is based on the amount of orders that you do.
Correct. No acceptance rate. Yep.
Yes.
Amount of orders that you complete.
Like Zifty does the same thing. That is the most fair model. Customer ratings can be a factor in my opinion, but you also have to think about all the Karen-ish people out there that unfairly rate people. So if they have a track pattern, let's just say 1 out of 5 people they rate poorly, then those need to be automatically exempted. If I'm on the same app, let's say I have 2 Zifty orders, I just mentioned that. The first one made me late to the second. Why should that second one that's late count against me? The late factor should just be auto exempted if it's the same platform, or let's say it's both EasyCater. EasyCater follows you as a driver. They know you were covering for them on the other order. That should be auto exempted.
Yeah. Let me ask. So it sounds like you realize that there needs to be some forms of legislation.
Yeah.
So that we can have whether transparency or fair deactivation or a better pay scale or a better, whatever. There's a countless number of things, right? It could be from 3 to 10 things that might be important to any of us on any given day, and it could be different from state to state or different if you're full-time or part-time or whatever, right? So legislation, it seems like you want that. You feel like that's the way we need to have, like, that's how we can have a
Colorado
voice,
model,
right?
yeah.
Right.
So Colorado model, what we push for.
Yeah. So when unions start, the Uber and Lyft drivers being able to have unions in California, do you feel like everybody then would have to join, so that's going to be bad, or do you feel like, well, if you want to be a part of one, go ahead? Like,
They're trying the same BS in Massachusetts. Unions do not work with 1099 work.
But okay, let me ask you this. We're talking about them not working in 1099, but what's currently happened isn't working.
Okay.
So
why? You want to voluntarily do a W-2 union model? That's okay. If you want to voluntarily do it, you have a choice. When you sign up for the app, so like DoorDash is trying W-2 models in certain markets, I think in Texas. I think Austin and Houston, which have
what's wrong with us having the choice? What's wrong with us?
I'm okay with them having a choice, but I want to be independent. Let me have that freedom of choice. Let them have the freedom of choice. If they want to be W-2 union, they can live under those standards. But it's called right to work for everything else. Let me have the choice. So they just basically need right to work legislation with the gig apps. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I just, for me, I struggle with I realize that the way the apps are right now aren't great for most,
Hmm.
not fair sometimes, but that's part of doing this kind of work. It's not fair. Life isn't fair, right? But my reluctancy is when talking about the reset and how we're going to act. I think if there's too much legislation, if there's too much union, if there's too much
Yep.
this and it's
Agreed.
different everywhere, I think the reset is going to come in a negative way with how the
Oh,
apps will react, and then that will take away opportunities from us. That's how I
so
look at it. And to me, do we want an opportunity and just figure it out, or do we want no opportunity at all? Right. So that's where I'm a little reluctant with some things, because at the end of the day, like, we were able to figure out the whole hiding tips thing on Uber and DoorDash. It was actually really easy once we figured it out, right? So for me, like, the transparency thing isn't as big of a deal. I think we should have it, but it's not like, for me, it hasn't stopped me or really any of us from doing the work, right? So for me, I think the deactivation is more important, and I think the way the apps lie with the money, like, that's where the accountability to me should be pushed
yeah,
more.
yes,
Because transparency thing to me is like, I don't need to know every single line item that the customer ordered, or like, those things are irrelevant to my decision making most of the time. So I think if we push too much in the wrong ways, I think we're gonna have things taken away, and then opportunity taken away means less money overall for most of us, I
yeah.
think.
I mean, you might not want the line items, but I do. I really like knowing what I'm picking up because I need to know if I'm prepared or whether I can handle it or not. If the customer can see it and order it, we should be able to see it. Because if the customer can see it, that means they can relay that same information to us. That's an old trucking tactic. That's BS. And as far as like the pay scale, full disclosure, I got deactivated off DoorDash again because I had 3 no-tip customers in a row. The pay looked good. So like 9, 10, and $12. So it was $9 order, a $12 order, and $10 order. It didn't come back till 3 days later that they deactivated me, and all 3 claimed they didn't get their stuff. So instead of it be coming up as a contract violation in the app because it was all 3 at once, the AI automatically kicked me within 2 days, and it delayed it versus showing as a contract violation within an hour, and you know which one it was. Basically, you can kind of guess. Any of us veterans know that. So I got screwed. So if I saw that it was all base versus no tip, I would have said no. Because yes, I have done no tip orders, but those are usually very high paying orders, like $20 plus. I would not have done a low base order like around $9-10 for no tip because I know those customers are typically problem customers. If it's
Yeah,
20 bucks
I hear
plus,
that.
I
I
will
hear
take
that.
the risk, but it's 1 in 100, not 3 in a row to where you're going to be in danger of that. So $2 transparency is an umbrella, and most of the things that upset us concerns falls under that umbrella. Yes, I do agree, Saggle. Is we need umbrella protections, just like I was saying, how I got screwed. If I saw those orders were all no tip, I decline, I would have sat around longer. That means the drivers in my market are doing the correct thing in declining bad paying orders. They're smart. They know what they're doing. And this is when college wasn't in session yet. So I'm back in my little home market, Canton, Potsdam. So like Clarkson and the SUNY schools and SLU. So Clarkson and SLU have a big hockey rivalry for those of you who care and follow that. You might know them. It's it's that's why I think transparency is super, super important. And even line items on like the catering side, Easy Cater doesn't always show or even show at all what items you're picking up. And so it's like it show a single serving tray versus the triple portion would be the same thing. And I'd walk in there with 2 bags thinking it's like a normal sized order because the pay like the cost can be somewhat similar. It's like $400 to $600, let's say, or even 200 to 400. The This is before guaranteed gratuities. I will say that. Now with the guaranteed gratuities, you can kind of guess that it's more portions because the guaranteed gratuity is going to be more. They don't always show the subtotal. They don't always show the portion sizes. They don't always show all the items. Like on DoorDash, it'll say one item, and it's actually a giant order that you need 10 catering bags for. So yeah, and it'll say $8 plus 3, and that's a no tip indicator on DoorDash because DoorDash is the rescue app. As far as people
I
saying,
want to say thanks.
go ahead.
I want to say thanks real quick to Star for leaving that $5
Yeah, thank you.
super chat. Thank you so much. Thanks, Bud Soda, for reading it. Yeah, definitely an umbrella. I think a lot of things go under that word transparency. It's to me, it's just not the number one thing I think or worry about or think that we need as gig drivers or independent contractors. I just don't. I don't need to know. It's not as important for me to know if I've got 5 pans of beans or 5 pans of salad. It's nice to know if it's beans. I get it, but if we all have the right equipment, it really does. It's kind of irrelevant most of the time. I think most of us find that we remember the insignificant details of certain orders here or there, but over the course of your gig life and your week or your month or your year, these things are so, it's like the hidden money thing. Like it doesn't happen that often that you're going to go from $10 to 100. You know what I mean? It's usually 10 to 10.75. So it's like, to me, the transparency thing, it is a big umbrella, but I think what we don't talk about when we talk about transparency is the actual pay of when Uber has a bonus or a promotion, but then they lower your base pay. Then it's not a bonus or promotion anymore, right? That to me, what they do with the playing games with the funny money in that way, that goes even beyond hiding tips, is way more important than if knowing everything that the customer paid for and what and how many items and how many boxes. And I think, for me, it's
You
just
get
like
negative base.
it's just like number 10 out of the 20 things that I think are important, but that's just me. That's personal. I think what's great about this work is the things that are important to me might be different for Bud Soda or Tim or Regina or anybody, depending on where you live and how often you do it, which is the great thing about this kind of work. But
So I'm going
yeah.
to take an example that directly relates to you. It's an app you don't like because they do trucking type tactics that deceive me. I think transparency is super important because when you were doing courier orders, they were not transparent about where you were actually going, and then they forced you basically to make a decision whether to take it back or continue with the order,
Right.
because you can't negotiate at all what you should get paid. Like, oh, we'll just give you an extra $60 for 3 hours extra of a drive.
Yeah, they determined it was $75
Yeah,
for
well,
an
that's my
extra
point.
hour to go an extra hour and a half further north, which meant I was
Yeah,
adding 3 hours total of my time.
exactly.
And they said $75 because it was, I guess, a miles to money kind of deal. And that to me was like, what? Like,
No.
yeah, that
Okay,
was crazy.
if they're going to force it on you, $2 per mile minimum, or at least 250. Let's say that, and then that really hold people accountable because they were obviously being deceiving on purpose.
Yeah.
I think that's where it's important that we have the transparency on what we're shown and the items we're taking.
Yeah.
Because it
And
was a
from what
big
I
load,
understand, that
it was a big
happens
filler load, yeah.
with last mile and truckers, and it's kind of common for like the
But they play
load
the
not to
same,
have all the info or the things to be switched or a route to change or timing to be messed
yeah.
up.
Brody
I'm gonna
plays the
ask. So I
same
got
game.
Paul. So
Go
we
ahead.
have Paul and Mindset Manny waiting. I'm gonna let these guys come up.
Go
You
ahead.
want to continue to join? You good to stay? Okay. So let's add Paul on. Paul, are you there?
Yep.
Good to see you, man. How are you today?
Oh, pretty good.
All right, all right. And we got Mindset. How are you doing, man?
What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. Hope you had a good week this week.
Well, nah, the week was hard, but the weekend I had to muscle through it, and the week I got through it, and this Sunday was a blessing,
There
and
you go.
I made it happen. But this week
That's
was hectic. This week was crazy.
Yeah. Sometimes, depending on where you live, the holidays, it can be weird like that. It's I found that to be this week was way my trends and my days were a little off.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that was in relation to what you had, but yeah, it's odd sometimes in the weeks and stuff. So I'll start with Paul. Paul, like, when we're talking about a reset and how these companies will react to legislation and unionization that's happening in California in January 2026, when we're talking about like how these apps will react, like, do you ever think about, well, what is Paul going to do when something changes that I like or don't like? Do you ever think about that? What do you think about that?
Well, at this point, I'm not sure, but I'm also in a position where if it gets too negative, I can simply retire.
Mm.
Good for you, Paul.
Yeah.
That's a flex is what we call Paul. The kids call that a flex. That's like
Yeah.
it's a good thing to have.
You're doing it to stay busy and
Yeah,
engaged.
have it in the back pocket. What about you,
Yeah.
mindset? Like, how are you going to react to a reset when and if it happens where you're at, based on things, impending things, changes? Like, how do you think about stuff like that?
Well, it all depends on what happens. We all, when you doing what we're doing right now, we all have to be adapters. We don't control anything. So like you were saying in your earlier videos, you got to learn how to do that. That's something you got to be accustomed with, dealing with whatever they're going to throw at you. Now, it's the same thing, we're talking about legislations, and yes, some of the things you guys are talking about is true. Like, yes, I do want a human to help us out, because that, AI is just messing it all up.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So helping us out, especially with the human resource side of things, we need that. That's we're humans too. Like, and there's a human aspect to it that does not get dealt with. And that's what I was saying that last time. Now, I like what, what's his name again?
Bud Soda. Yeah,
Bud
Bud.
Soda.
Hey, thank you, Mike.
I'm just like Bud Soda, man. I want to be independent, man. I am for the independence. You get what I'm saying? I don't really want to do unions, and I don't really want to, be a, like equal to a W-2. I like my independence. Now, what we were talking about, as far as he was saying something about the the pay. What was he saying? Oh my
For
God.
the guaranteed pay model, there
Yes.
needs to be a financial incentive in this legislation to get most legislatures to even pass it, because Senator Priola in Colorado had to sit in to understand it. So these ones in legislatures aren't going to understand it without that pay scale being there. So on pre-schedules, like we were talking about with Curry, with Pedro, and we were talking about the catering apps playing games with these partner orders, and they cancel them last minute, but they know to cancel it in more than an hour before, so you get nothing. There needs to be guarantees for us to protect us, because we plan our days around those pre-schedules. Now,
And you
I
passed up
disagree with
another
people in the
opportunity.
comments saying that we shouldn't have to pre-schedule, because you don't have to say yes to that 4 a.m. order. We still have the freedom to say no. Acceptance rate shouldn't matter. But as far as the pay scale goes, and we take that $180 order, but we have to travel an hour and a half to get there, that means we have to schedule our whole day around that. And without that big fish, it doesn't make it worth it.
Oh, and now I know my point in where I was trying to go at. It's like, yes, what we're saying is true. Like, you do want, like you said, a pay scale and all these other things. Like, you want it to be fair. But in my head, like we were saying, we're adapters. By us being independent, and by it being so many different opportunities in the gig economy, I feel as though, if a person's having a issue, or can't make enough money, or it's saturated, or there are, like you're saying, you can double app, triple app. You could do what you're talking about. Schedule, 3 or 4 different catering apps, and you can ride share. Man, I was ride sharing and door dashing. I was ride sharing, and then in my slow times, because usually lunchtime for ride share is the slow time. So when I would be ride sharing in the lunchtime, I would go do DoorDash, to cover that little gap of the
Yeah,
little
they have
slow
more
time.
clearing work
And
done.
you get what you get what I'm saying? And then I jump back into my ride share. So it's like I feel as though yes, you may have problems like individual problems or issues with each and individual, but you can, as far as with money or there's ways around all of the issues with all these things. I feel it like I just feel like we're, there's a lot of, it's a mindset thing. A lot of us want certain things because everybody doesn't want to put in the same type of effort. Everyone doesn't go out here and really study. You have some veterans that are veterans, but they never put in real time, or like they're not really out there doing their due diligences, because you can hear it in different people. It's just like in the work world or the W-2 world. You have succeeders, people that have come on your job and you're like, dang, man, this man shot up the roof. And there's a guy that's been there 20 years and he's over there complaining. And if you listen to that guy, you would think this job was a piece of junk.
Complacency is the devil as far as that's concerned, especially with independent work. And a lot of people do have that mentality, unfortunately. And they don't, but like the volume, because of the amount of people that are on independent contractor apps, it's reaching half the freaking economy, like as far as total employment, if you want to define it as that, because independent contractor gigs, like the news considers it employment. And that's like roughly half the economy as far as like what people do for jobs. There needs to be protections in place to where we don't get screwed over and have transparency. But at the same time, I don't want guaranteed pay models as far as hourly, because everywhere that's happened, the ceiling drops down below my phone screen and the floor is up.
You ever get a feeling the apps are trying to sabotage it?
Go ahead, Paul.
I said, ever get the feeling that the apps are trying to sabotage it? Those pay models like New York City and Boston and Seattle?
No, I think they agree with it more. I agree. I think they agree with it more now. They seem to be pushing for it. Because then they can plan around that as far as that's concerned. So Massachusetts is like forcing rideshare drivers, if so many people vote and it's not a very big majority, it has to be a very slim minority, they're going to force unions on those drivers. And I don't think that's right. And that's in the rideshare world. And now California, the only stipulation that the rideshare companies had was no unions. And we're going to go ahead with this Prop 22 stuff. And Prop 22 over time has degraded so badly, it's not funny. It's basically right kind of down there with it. And the only companies I've been exempt from it are like the pre-schedule apps, mostly the catering side, because the pay is so good. And I think that's why EasyCater countered, because they saw it coming with the guaranteed gratuities. So like, even if the customer only puts a $30 gratuity on a $1,000 order, EasyCater is still going to give you $100 guaranteed, because they saw that. They're like, okay, boom.
I'm glad you mentioned that. Why should if all these apps can call us 1099 independent contractors, and then that means they don't have to offer any benefit, any protection, any this, any that. We're just a numbers on a computer screen to them. And some apps treat us better than others, right? But at the end of the day, that's what they can call us, and we can move freely, and however you want to use that word, freely. Why should there be different levels of legislation or transparency or pay models just because one company might pay a little bit better? Like, shouldn't they all, if we're 1099, shouldn't they all have to follow the same rules? Why would DoorDash and Uber be the only ones that are held accountable, but EasyCater and Curry and Roadie, we look at them different because it's like, shouldn't it be the same for all the apps? Shouldn't they have to abide by the same rules? Because they're all doing the same. They're all apps that you can turn off and on, and you're 1099 for tax purposes. And like, shouldn't they all have to abide by the same rules?
Yeah. So they, like, if they fall in the rule set to where you're guaranteed that minimum payment, like let's say EasyCater does, then that's fine. But Roadie, for example, is pushing more toward the employment side, and those upgrades have ruined that app. It used to be the smoothest, easiest running app that you could do. And now I've had to force stop it and reset it so many times today. It's just as bad as DoorDash is. Like DoorDash, we know it's a glitchy app. It's like, you guys just ruined this app, the way it runs, the way it works. And those orders were always meant to stack or do along the way. They're same day. If you want to pay us, if you want them hot shot, pay us hot shot prices. Hot shot prices mean a thing, just like I know Curry, for example, that used to pay hot shot prices when they were first out, but now they don't. So they need to be held accountable as far as that goes. And there needs to be some kind of guarantee to where, okay, we can't screw with you too much and we have to be transparent about what we're doing versus we're going to play games. And that's why I'm for all the information, just to be upfront about it. Because we can't change the route on you without you being able to, at least, try to negotiate or have a minimum pay scale as far as, okay, let's just call it $2.50 a mile when you extend your route, because that's not fair to us. You can either accept the $2.50 for the extra per mile because we're traveling further and have to travel back. And if we were already on a timeline like you were, now I'm taking more time out of my day, and I'm not going to sit there and try to get orders on the way back because I needed to be somewhere. So they need to pay us fairly, but at the same time, I don't want an hourly thing because that degrades it all. Because
but the thing is, I think most of us in the chat, most of us on the stream probably right now, most of us that watch these channels, which isn't most of the actual gig workers in the world, we say we want fairness, but the only way to get that is through a union. I know some of y'all aren't going to like that I said that,
But wait,
but when you think about the history of labor in this country, and you think about how people were mistreated in factories and mills, and the only way that they got fairness for them, not having to work 16 hours a day and getting overtime, not having any kind of raises over the course of years, the only way they got that was having representation.
Yeah.
So how are we talking about fairness, but then saying, well, I want to be independent? Like, where is the balance there, right? It's like we want this, but we're not willing to call ourselves that, right? So that's where I struggle when I hear some of us talk, and not you, Bud Soda, just kind of a blanket statement. We're talking about we want this, we want this, we want this, but then, like I said earlier in the comments, somebody mentioned about, well, we need politicians. Y'all trust some politicians now? Like, that's why I think we really need to worry about who we are aligning ourselves with, because I don't trust a politician any more than I do a CEO of a major gig economy company. So I think we have to be really careful with the steps that we're taking. And I think some of us, we let our pride and ego get in the way. Okay, not all, but some. And we're like, well, I don't want to be called that, or I don't want to be in a union because I'm independent. But if you're going to make more money, even if you have to pay some $500 a year union due, what's the difference if you're going to make more money? I think some of us get lost in the words. We hear a word, it's like a dirty word, but we don't understand the actual facts behind how that might help some people. Do you understand what I'm saying?
And that's what I was getting at. Okay. And that's the biggest thing with this whole thing too, because everywhere and everybody's experience is not the same. And what my 2 points I'm about to make right now are a little bit of what Mr. Bud was saying. My 1 point, Mr. Bud was saying, oh, he got deactivated, right, for 3 bad no tipping customers. Now, I felt a little bit of a way, because even when I was Uber riding, you would hear stories. Somebody did this, and I had this customer do that, and I oh my goodness, I had a customer. Man, I had this. Now, me myself personally, I never had not one. I did it for 1.5 years, and I swear I don't have a story. Why? Because I only did airports. I never drove short rides, not one. I don't do $6 rides. When you drive a person, when a person pays $60 for a ride, they are not playing with their ride. They need you to be professional, and they're trying to get to where they're trying to go. So what I'm trying to get you to understand is you know, when he got them 3 no tippers, and I apologize, but these apps are a little bit transparent. I don't know what app you got them 3. You said DoorDash. Keep explaining to you guys like location. You cannot just do this thing willy-nilly talking about, oh, I'm just accepting. If that thing is going to the hood, hey, or to a area, I don't like to speak, down on, but you could, areas. Come on, man. You got to, don't take those. Don't
All these
go
locations are typical
there.
good tip accessories.
Don't take the lower tip, the lower fees. Whatever you got to do, then the other issue, you got people in these markets that they say are oversaturated. The oversaturated markets are the same markets that are oversaturated for regular jobs too. And that's the reality of it. The places that are oversaturated, they're oversaturated with regular W-2. It's hard to get a real job there.
Yeah, the competition is competition. Yeah.
And what I'm trying to say is, so it's like you have to know where you are. The people in New York are gonna have the oversaturation problem. The people in California are gonna have the oversaturation problem. The people, because why? It's oversaturated.
Yeah.
You get, I'm not trying to, but it's the truth. It's so these people may benefit from these legislations and these unions because of these situations. But I don't want it to be nationwide, because come on, bro, I don't need it. I don't have that issue in I can be transparent, Fort Lauderdale, Florida. You get me? I just did a 14-hour shift. I love to be transparent. I just did a 14-hour shift. I went on at 8 o'clock this morning. I got off at 9. I got off at 9:30. I did $220. I did not take a break today. Okay? I did not take a break. I would be at somebody else's job, and all I would have took was a 30-minute break for a 12-hour, 13-hour shift. It's the same thing, y'all. You guys, I do not understand, man. I don't understand everybody's motivation, where they get it. If you're gonna be going, let me stop. I'm ranting, but I'm trying to get you to understand.
Okay. These kind of conversations and ranting and getting it out and being passionate is a good thing, man.
This is what I'm speaking on. The people that have certain issues is because where they are you got people that don't make a lot of money because these apps aren't in their field, because you guys live in rural areas. You get me? It's the same thing. You got a problem with getting a job too. People in Georgia got to travel way to Atlanta, way to the city parts to get jobs. It's the same mock-up. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You get me? So you got to understand where you live, what you do. Right now, bro, I travel 30 minutes to my market. I don't live in my market. I travel 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back.
Yeah. So I'll disagree with you there, mindset. I was in a more urban market. I was in the Pittsburgh region, and I applied for a lot of jobs, had a lot of interviews, couldn't get hired nowhere.
Okay. Come on. It's not just in that.
So as far as that goes, it's not always oversaturation, but that is the general theme. And I think that as far as transparency goes, it would help us in avoiding the bad actors. But like we were saying, like people who are spending a lot of money on these apps are much less likely to be the ones that like report you. If you're paying $60 for a ride or your food delivery, because I order groceries every single week off these apps, off DoorDash, get Aldi, get whatever, whatever their store. I spend a lot of money. And in fact, when I had a bad experience, I didn't even complain to support at all. I just one-starred him and left like a comment of what he did. He didn't respond to me. He was not communicative. He did not listen to me. He didn't follow my instructions, and they refunded me. So it's like, okay, this is the same app that knows it's attached to my DoorDash account, like my actual Dasher app that I'm deactivated on. They know it's connected. And so that's wild that they did that for me as a customer when I didn't ask for it. So just
And
full transparency on both sides, I think would do night and day difference, because if the customers could see that only $2 of that base is what's originally going to go to us, or $1.50 add on an Uber, or what the discounts is negative
Hold
base
on,
pay.
let's let Paul talk. Paul, what were you saying?
But go ahead, Paul. Sorry.
Yeah, I would say if the customer knows how little we're being paid, they're not going to be quite as, most of the time, I don't think they'll be quite as demanding.
no, they won't. And
I
that's
think
true
there's some
too.
truth there. I think
That's
there's some
true
truth there.
too. You're right, because people don't. I've had my experience. I walk inside a Pizza Hut. I don't know if you guys know this. No, I don't think everybody knows this. You guys do know Pizza Hut, Papa John's. There's one more. They have their own delivery people. So you do know that DoorDash is the cleanup crew. We do not get the big orders because they take them. They actually can pick and choose which orders they get. I don't know if you guys know this.
Yeah, we talked about that.
I do.
Okay, so what I mean by that is that, dang, I lost my point a little bit. I was going somewhere. But my point I'm
They
making
can
is
give you the
that
I mean, those stores can they'll send you some good ones, but they can also just give you the trash.
they only do that. They only do a guy complained to me. He was like, "Yo, you know, oh yeah, there you go." That's where I was going. I walk in Pizza Hut and I got a little $6 order. And I'm in there, you know, I'm vocal. I don't care. I'm like, hey man, where's this Pizza Hut, man? It's 8 o'clock in the afternoon. I know people ordering way bigger than this $6. The Pizza Hut guy's like, yo. The Pizza Hut guy's like, yo, you guys are supposed to take that. Y'all get paid. They pay y'all to go. I said, bro, I get paid the same way you get paid off the tips. He didn't know that. He thought we get like paid. I was like, no, bro, we get paid $2.
So some Papa John's, Pizza Huts give a big base pay because delivery fee is so high. So I think in St. Louis there was a location where Pedro used to sit at, and it'd be like $8 base pay because that's the fee, and we got 100% of the fee. So $8 base minimum, people are going to take that. My Pizza Hut was $5 base minimum, but I guess corporate, because they were struggling as a franchise, made them drop it back to $2, and that hurt.
And I've been a few times where I suspect they've stole the tip.
Sometimes
They do. They
can do
can. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They can do
I am
that.
thankful for all my franchisees up here, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, etc. They give 100% of the tip. The only store that is known to do it up here is the Panera Bread locations.
Let's welcome Alex to the show. Alex, how you doing, man?
Alex?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, so for my part of independent contracting, I've mainly done DoorDash and Spark. I actually started off with Grubhub and Spark, and then I eventually got on Uber, but Grubhub and Uber deactivated me after I got literally one speeding ticket. So
Yep.
Wow.
there was that.
Wow.
Yeah, I just remember even on Grubhub, like reading their thing, they were like, "Oh well, if you don't make at least $12 in an hour or whatever, it doesn't average out to $12 an hour. They'll give you a little bump or whatever."
That's only if you accept everything. You have to accept everything that comes at you.
Yeah, and then I remember like some of their ratings and stuff was kind of unfair, because if I wanted to say, for example, just set my availability, I had to basically accept a minimum of 95 of the $100, or a minimum of 95 of the 100 orders that come at me.
I, in my opinion, on Grubhub, just take the blocks that are available, and the late night ones tend to be better anyway, because most markets have a close. They're not 24 hours. And the late night ones especially, then you'll get priority to when they'll just like force the pay up by $20 freaking dollars. I'm not even joking. You'll get $22 minimum.
So let me, Alex, let me ask you a question. So the topic tonight is app reset. When it happens, reset meaning legislation comes to your city or state, changing things good or bad, depending on how you see it, or unions become an opportunity for you. And then these apps react to that. And there's a reset in how the apps work for you, what kind of opportunities you have, like what the pay looks like, what control you have. Like, how do you feel about things changing? Are you worried about it? Do you think about that? Like,
I mean,
give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, I just look at this and I'm like, well, there's gotta be some way that we can get a happy medium of all of that, where we can still have, okay, so like say, for example, we have the discretion as independent contractors to accept or decline an order, or we choose when we go out. But then obviously then there's the unionization possibly, or perhaps more rules so that, 10, 20 customers can just lowball us, and there's nothing really we can do about it. I'm thinking like with that, there has to be some sort of happy medium there with that.
Let me ask you a question. And if I'm putting you on the spot, I'm sorry, but it's my show, so I got to do that sometimes.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
So let's say Union. What state are you in?
I'm in the state of Iowa.
Okay.
I worked one union job before.
Okay, so let's say the gig economy apps. There's a state. There's in Iowa, you can become a union. You got a X amount of dollars per week come out of your earnings. Let's say it's $25 a week. I'm just throwing a number out there.
Yeah, for sure.
But then you're paying those union dues. But then now you have some deactivation protection. You have some scheduling protection or earnings protection to where now you're paying your union dues, and then every year they're going to come to the table for you and say, hey, these drivers, the pay needs to go up for inflation or for this, and there needs to be a gas stipend. Would you be willing to pay those union dues? Would you sign up?
I would 100%. I would almost say, like, even just for like those things you mentioned, a gas stipend, or like help with the deactivations, or even contract violations. I can't tell you how many, like, there's a couple times where I got a few contract violations on DoorDash, right? For things that were not my fault. I went and disputed the violation, and obviously it gave me a tentative response time of like 2 weeks, right? Well, I obviously know when the AI goes and does it, because I would get an email. So say I submit the dispute, right? I could say I just submitted the dispute, let's say at like noon, right? I could get an email at like, say, 5 p.m. that, we're reviewing your dispute. And then I get another email and notification at 8 p.m. that my dispute was rejected. Yet the tentative response time that they gave me was 2 weeks.
Yeah, the meeting I reviewed it.
And I submitted the dispute when I received the next morning after I received the contract violation, and I already get a rejection that night.
Yeah.
We'd like to at least force a human to look at those.
Even that, like I could keep saying, all of our experiences are different, because I am one that say, yes, I was explaining to you guys, I get them because I do a lot. Right now, I'm sitting at 536 deliveries within 30 days, you guys.
Ooh,
so I do a high.
30 days.
I know what I'm saying is I do a high volume of deliveries.
Yeah.
So I did 23 deliveries today, you guys. 23. So imagine in 4 days, I don't dispute them, because how long are we gonna be on there?
Yeah,
how
literally.
Long?
You should still dispute them because.
But then you
wait.
like,
I'm just saying for me.
3 days.
Now, if you're a part-time, dasher, if you're a different type of, you're gonna have different experience. You're gonna need that violation to come off, because you're a part-time. You don't do as many. You see, it's gonna be up there longer, or you get it. So everybody's experience with these things are a little bit different, because with me, I dash 32 days out the month.
Yeah.
Okay.
For me,
right.
I just basically do it because I also want some home time. And then there was a while that I lost a job. So I was doing it as a part-time, but then I actually moved to full-time because I lost my job. And so yeah, I was doing these full time for like the last 5 months until I just got hired at another company here last week. So
Well,
I get it, you know.
And I'm likely to see a contract violation on my record for 2 to 3 months because I only do about 40
You see?
orders a month.
You see,
Yeah,
so it's a different
even-
experience.
No, even if you're full time, you should always dispute it because the AI does take that into consideration. That if you're repeatedly do dispute them, because DoorDash, for example, will randomly lock your account all the time because you canceling an order legitimately, like let's say the order got stolen and you did nothing wrong, we'll take that into account if you're getting deactivated or it's going to unlock your account. So my guy who I know in my market, well, my old market, I should say, the Watertown Fort Drum market, he disputes everything and he always gets unlocked because of it. He also got deactivated a long time ago, like me, because store closure. If you report store closed, they don't like that at all. Don't report store closed anymore. Do the quote unquote wrong thing and just unassign.
yeah.
But
Or
like,
for me,
as
what
far
I'll
as
do is I'll actually call DoorDash, and so then what the agent does is then they'll call the store,
if the agent
and they'll
will
be
do
like,
it,
"Oh, well, no one's
There's a
answered."
none of them
10-minute
will
glitch,
for
you
me.
guys. Stop unassigning orders, bro. 10-minute glitch, bro. You listen,
Yeah.
10-minute glitch. Stop unassigning, bro. Stop that. I
None of
don't
them.
do that,
Yeah.
bro. I don't do that. I bet I will sit 10 minutes.
Well, yeah,
I don't care.
completion rate. Because say
Come
you get
on,
full
man. You guys
5,
are
then you
tripping,
just
bro.
Yeah.
Then
Don't
If I do more than
unassign,
2
bro.
of those within 3 days, the AI will automatically trip saying you did a high number because 3 is a high number apparently in 3 days. 2 days through 3 days. That's a high number to them. And
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
they'll threaten you like you're gonna get
Don't.
deactivated off it. It's
Just
bullcrap.
sit for the 10 minutes,
There
bro, and
are
do the
people who
glitch,
abuse
bro.
it, you are right. But as far as like we should be able to do that at our will as long as it's not within the confines of the contract. That should be fine. That they shouldn't threaten us over it if it's within the confines of the contract. So
Because
most gaps are 10 to 20%.
I got a contract violation over a store closure before, but I must admit the store was within 5 minutes of the time of closing. They had the door locked. Now watch this. I did the store closure, did the time. Someone else got a delivery to that same place, and they opened the door and let them in.
Now you know what that was?
Yeah.
I guarantee it's one of their employees that's on DoorDash that got let go at like exactly close and didn't do it that after close.
And
So like
they
the
let them in.
and they
And
got that
DoorDash
order
said
and delivered it.
DoorDash
Guarantee
said a
that's what it was.
customer, a person did a delivery
Yeah.
from that store after I
Yeah,
reported it closed.
I guarantee that's what it was because it happens all the time. Like,
Yeah, so that
it'll say, oh, another dasher showed up and was able to complete the order. But it will also say that if it floats around all night, someone comes the next morning, oh, we can't make that order. That was from last night. Call DoorDash and have them cancel saying we can't make it. And the AI will say someone completed the order because it shows it as closed out on the AI side. That's why it says that. So that's another place we need protection. I think we could do all this without unions because
that's right.
Tara has a union member on that board, but we're still independent contractors with human interaction. Just have human interaction. If the human board says I can't get back on your app, okay, cool. I'm cool with that. Because at least I had human interaction. It's not just an AI saying it over and over and over and over again or doing it quickly, like I say, dispute the freaking process. It's like I did have the human. This is when you can still dispute the AI. When DoorDash first started doing face ID verification, I just got reactivated after the store closed thing. And within 18 hours, the human did it. But getting a hold of the human before that took me months and months and months. I think it was like almost 5 months to get a human to actually review my case and to put me back on the platform.
I think, let me chime in here. I think that the human eyeballs on deactivation is something that we would all vote for, right? We all want that. Nobody would be
Yeah.
like, no, I want AI. But I think what we have to remember is all these major companies, gig apps, but then even W-2s and other type of companies and medical facilities, they're all using AI. That is the future. So I think it's going to be really difficult for us to implement more humans in industries where humans are being taken away.
But,
So that's going to be a uphill battle. I really believe.
but
I'm
in
not trying to
other
be negative, but
industries,
I think that it's going to be a really hard thing to do
a
because
human
companies are.
still reviews it.
What's that?
So the AI will catch the problem, and you'll be in HR for disciplinary hearings or whatever, whether you're going to be fired or whatever BS they want you to put you through. So like my kind of line of work, it's like 1 to 3 days suspension normally if you do something bad. And let's say you're a crew lead, so you're still union side, you're not company
Yeah,
side.
but you're talking about your
And you
job.
don't
Your job.
you didn't do your
We're
paper.
talking
Yeah,
about gig. We're talking about gig work. There's no
yeah,
HR office in gig work.
yeah. Yeah, there isn't none.
What I'm saying is we all want human eyeballs, but
Yeah.
I think that's going to be really hard to get without unions because look what I got in Colorado. 2 union members are part of that 10 or 12 person panel. So we're all anti-union. Well, not all. There's some pro in the chat, but what I'm saying is without having the power of like some like stability people, it's all AI. So I think the deactivation thing is we need it, but it's going to be an uphill battle because these companies are putting
Yeah.
It
billions of
can be
dollars
done with
into the
legislation, I
software.
think, not
What's that?
necessarily with the union.
We could
Then
replace those 2 people with people who have done these gig apps.
it doesn't. What I'm saying is, we have to understand the role of human beings and eyeballs, but like when we're so anti-union, but then bills that are passed have union people in them, it doesn't make sense, right? Like we have to. Somebody said earlier, it's like a happy medium. Like I think it might have been Alex. Like there has
Yeah.
to be a common ground of what, give a little, take a little. That's how businesses work, guys. Right? We're not gonna get as gig workers because we also have to understand the reality. And I hate to tell it, like this is what it is. I'm with you. I do your work. We're at the bottom of the food chain. We all realize that, right? We're at the bottom. And the only sectors of labor that have gotten from the bottom to closer to the middle is with unions and laws and legislation. So I know that we need it, but there has to be a middle ground because like
Yeah.
we're at the bottom. Like we are
Trucker,
literally at the bottom of the food chain, right? And the
truckers
apps
are
know
on
that.
top of the food chain we're in. Then it's like labor, construction to trades are in somewhere in the middle, and we're down on the very bottom.
I'm telling you right now, there are people, and this isn't to disparage anybody, because I've worked at restaurants, I've done every jobs, I've cleaned toilets. There
As far
are
as independent
people,
contractors,
there are people shoveling shit right now somewhere. There's somebody cleaning a
some farm work
toilet right now on their hands and knees
done
that
that.
has more protections than you and I. We are at the bottom of the chain versus those individuals.
But
Mm-hmm.
but you just compared it to a W-2.
I did, but what I'm saying, I'm not pushing for unions and W-2s. I'm just speaking. These are the facts. Like we have to
But
realize where we're at, and if we
but
want
that's what I'm
change,
saying. We're not W-2.
we're not.
We're independent contractors, so I don't feel like that how we're at the bottom. When I decide what I make. Like right now, like I said, it's market dependent. I'm speaking from my market, from my experience, and I'm not saying that everybody makes great or some people, but like I'm saying, and just like because I can speak like this too. If there's a guy in California right now, what's his name? That guy make $1,800 a week. I'll never make that. I will never make
Oh,
$1,800.
I believe you're
No,
talking about the
I don't.
Prop
I don't believe
22.
that.
I saw
Yeah,
a
the
No,
Prop
Facebook
22
post
guy.
like
no,
Yeah, he
somebody
makes
no,
just in
no.
18.
California.
Mine.
Yeah, he do.
The DoorDash pay portion was like 200 and some, and then they had to put like an adjustment of like 2,000 or something like that.
Yeah,
No,
that's
he
because
makes
they
good
just
money. He
grind and
makes
work hours.
even without the prop. Even without the prop, he still brings in like 1,500. without the
Yeah.
prop. So what
Okay,
I'm
that
saying,
means
but
he makes
How
good
is it
decisions.
working?
so what I'm getting at is that it's like I said, it's market. But like I said, you know, you like you were saying, bottom of the food check. Nah, bro. I work
Listen,
W-2s.
the
I
people
Fine.
that
What
watch
metro
this
are you in?
channel, listen, the people that are on YouTube and that are hustling, and I know many, I've met many of you in person that are in the chat. I've met Bud Soda in person. We are not part of the bottom. But what I'm speaking of are the millions of people that do this work, that struggle. Most of us, 95% of people doing rideshare food delivery are at the bottom of the food chain.
We're
It's a
Well,
fact.
but
independent
is
I'm
there
telling
contractors,
is
you
but
that
there
right
somebody
is
now.
but
else
it's
wrote the contract.
but like I said, that's why, because it's their techniques, their drive. You know, they're not, because I keep saying that, man, bro. That's why you hear me. That's why I be very transparent in what I'm saying. Like, like right now, I am a platinum dasher. If I go below platinum, I'll be crying. If I drop down to gold and silver, oh boy,
So
life is
okay, so
different.
then you're not. If that's the case, you're not independent.
no, yeah.
Wait,
Acceptance
why you
rate
say
means
that?
you're an employee.
So think about it like this.
Acceptance rate means you're an employee.
No, think about it
Yes.
like this. Let me
Wait a
push.
minute,
Let
wait
me
a minute. Hold on,
Go
hold
ahead,
on,
Pedro.
wait.
Let
hold
Pedro
on a
explain.
Wait,
second.
hold on, wait. So this,
Hold
because I
on.
want to give you the formula. So you're gonna tell me acceptance rate means I'm an employee. Now wait,
No, I didn't say
I
that. Listen.
okay,
Listen.
go
Let
ahead.
Pedro explain.
I don't think I'm not saying you're an employee because you can like earlier. I remember what you said. You had the week was a little crazy. You made it up because you hustled. You're independent, right? That's respect. However, the word independent means we can make our own way and make our own money.
That's right.
But if you just said, well, if I lose platinum, I'm gonna be crying. That means you are doing things for a company or an app that you don't want to do sometimes. That's not independence.
Okay, now wait.
Yeah. They're
All of that
treating
is
you
by
like an
wait.
employee.
All that's by choice. Because like I was explaining to you, I choose. I only DoorDash. I don't do any other app. I've said this. I don't do nothing else. I only dash. If I felt like I dropped below whatever, I can go do Roadie. I can go do Zifty. I can go do Uber. I can go do. You see what I mean? You
Zifty's
see
the
what I
fair
mean?
app. They base the orders they give you on the amount of experience and orders you've done.
What do you mean? Say it again. I didn't hear
Zifty
you.
bases it on the amount of orders that you've done for them, and less so your on-time percentage and how happy the customer is. Those are the two lesser factors. The biggest factor with Zifty is the amount of orders you've done, and that's like Instacart. That's the only fair part of Instacart, but Instacart adapted Uber's freaking policies as far as that
But
goes to become
but
less
what I'm
fair.
But that's
Go
all
ahead.
I'm getting at, bro. If you drop, if like I was saying, if you're not getting what you need from one particular one, there are so many different opportunities to continue to make money.
Then why
It's
are
just
you
like getting a
choosing
second. Go
to
ahead.
keep a program with DoorDash that makes you take so many orders?
Because I
Zifty
am
and
choosing,
Instacart don't force you to accept the orders. It's only the amount you do over time.
but I am choosing to only dash. And if I'm going to only dash and I see like it would like we keep saying with Pedro keeps saying that these apps, like you said, with the major reset and what's gonna come, you have to adapt. So what I'm saying to you is if I
Within
chose,
you.
which is what I choose to only DoorDash, I have to adapt to the DoorDash's stuff. You see what I'm saying? So I am not complaining about an AR. I make it work.
You
You see?
okay? Okay. Then that I say adapt to the programs they're running, and if that makes profit for you, I'm okay with that because that's on you as an independent contractor. But acceptance rate, depending what orders that you're offered, shouldn't matter. So DoorDash, for example, if you're in their shopping program, which you
I
can
am.
do
I'm a pro
without
shopper as
acceptance
well.
rate.
I'm a pro shopper as well.
Yeah. Okay. But pro shopper is another thing that's based on the acceptance rate and the amount of orders. That shouldn't matter.
No,
The
I
only
don't.
rate that should matter, I didn't find a difference on pro shopper versus non-pro shopper. It's cool when I got pro shopper because it feels like an accomplishment that you found so many things. But I found no difference between the offers I got on shops. The $12 offer was a no-tip shop, but that means it's still a higher paying offer versus most. The shops I used to do that were no tip were repeatedly $20 plus on all these different apps, whether it be Uber, DoorDash, Instacart. And that's what matters the most, because the pay that you accept is only what should matter, not the acceptance rate. It shouldn't matter otherwise. You can work programs that are non-acceptance rate based on you being a good shopper and you doing a lot of shopping orders, because getting in the shopping program is still designed by people who accept at least a third of the shopping orders they receive. In other words, it's the good paying stuff. The people who are spending $60 plus doing shops are people who are, actually responsible and really want a good service, and not that just want free shit. Excuse my language.
I feel you guys on the AR. I am not 100% set on AR. I'm not like saying that AR is fine, because I don't really, of course, this week I went down to gold, and oh my God, you get what I'm saying? So what I'm saying to you is I get it. I would love to still see the same offers I would see throughout the day, whether I'm, like I said, it shouldn't be a goal based off AR. Okay. But yes, like Pedro and I were speaking on the last time. Yes, we do. We still need all the other matrix though. We still need on time and customer ratings, and we still need all the other ones because that's the stuff that sets me apart. That's the stuff that sets dashers or the gig individuals apart. Those other matrix. The AR I could do without. You're right. I would rather it be when I turn the app on, and based off the market that I'm in, whatever orders are coming through should still come through to me. But based off the other matrix, like you were just getting at, non-AR compliant apps.
Completion
and
rate.
I get it. You get what I'm saying?
Completion rate and the amount of orders you've done is all that should matter.
I get you, and I feel the same way. I feel the same way. So you get what I'm saying? But I'm like I said, because, and that's why you don't hear me complaining, because I literally choose to say, okay, DoorDash is going to be the only app, only thing I do. So I was okay. They say if I do this will happen. Okay, well, I'm going to do that. And
and that's up to you. Yeah, and that's the great thing
That's
about
up to
this
you,
world.
but
if I was like against the AR in my heart and in my soul, which is I could choose to do that, then the only other solution is to go to other gig economies or work a W-2 and do this. You see what I'm saying? You have to adapt, like we are all talking about. You see what I'm saying?
A hybrid model for most, because that's what makes most sense. Back in 2020, 2021, yes, you could quit your job and go do this full time if you knew what you're doing. 2021 is when I learned the most about this and learn about this diversification. Diversification of your apps, I think, is the still most key important aspect. And then if you're really smart with your market and you're not in a guaranteed pay model like hourly, I think it should be still per order, because based on per offer or what we're doing is much more important than per hour, because per hour makes us employee, but per offer and per what we're doing makes us independent, because we're basing it on a bid for our service. And I think that's the big differentiation between people who do independent contract work versus people who do W-2. Now, the construction workers I mentioned before and the people who do the trades, yes, there's independent contract work in there, but often it's based on hourly. But you're going in for a guaranteed 8 hours versus this. And then if they want you to do overtime based on your contract, that's what you get paid. Like if it has no differentiation on it, okay, I could demand that if you want me to work overtime, you're going to pay me a set amount of pay, and you're going to give me a minimum amount of hours or a max amount of hours that I want to work past my scheduled time. And you're going to pay me that. Otherwise, I'm not doing it. Because now we have the tax exemptions up to $18,000 for overtime. So then, because of the tax system, I'd want to be based on hourly. And I would negotiate my contract, but we should be allowed to negotiate on our own behalf, not have a guaranteed freaking pay model. We should be allowed to negotiate on our behalf, decline or accept.
Let me ask you a
hear me
question.
out for a minute
Hold on,
about
guys.
that.
Hold on. How are 4 to 6 million drivers going to individually negotiate on a per order basis? How logistically, how is that even
That's
possible?
not going to happen.
It's impossible. So the only way to negotiate pay is in a structured manner, to where every quarter, every year, you go to the table and say, hey, the base pay is $2 in St. Louis or $3 here. It needs to be this for this, and this many drivers in the marketplace are working 20 hours a week. This many are working 10. There needs to be a sliding scale of pay maybe in this city, and those things can be voted upon. That's, for me, if we're talking, everything comes down to money, because at the end of the day, none of these channels exist. None of them exist if all these apps were great and perfect and they showed us everything, because we all come to them to, how can I earn more money? How can I find this trick? How can I do this? Some relatability. Like, I don't want to feel alone because I'm fucking, it sucks this week, right? So like, all these channels exist based upon the money, like showing people how to make an extra, squeeze a little more out of that lemon every week. Go from $20 an hour to 25, 25 to 30, 15 to 20, right? And that's where the profit really sets in. But we can't, on an individual driver basis, with all these apps and all these millions of drivers, there's no logical way to negotiate per order when millions of orders are being dictated every single day. It's impossible. We'd flood the lines. They don't have the support system. The app doesn't. The software's not in the app. It just wouldn't. It wouldn't work. It'd be like, and what are we going to negotiate? Most of the orders on DoorDash, the average order size is like $5.75 to $6, right? So we're going to be negotiating when you're at such a low point. You're not going to get it significantly more. We're going to be negotiating for quarters.
Listen, I don't have a problem with that though, because if there's a set structure where no. Okay, so the current system is every 3 declines, it goes up by a quarter, and so much over time. We could say every 15 minutes you have to put it up by this. Every so many declines.
Orders don't last.
You gotta put it up by this.
Last that long. Orders last.
Thank you. There's a time period.
We all see orders that sit on a screen where everyone can see everything for hours. Bullcrap.
Yeah, but now
Wait,
we're talking. Those are apps.
Food delivery.
Those apps. Those are the smaller apps. I'm talking.
Yeah, we're talking about food delivery.
Uber, right?
Yeah.
Okay. The negotiating power on a catering or a roadie is different, but those are like, you're talking like hundreds of orders, or you're talking like 1,000 orders a day versus like 5 million orders, right? It's such a different
prices versus an hourly demand. Set prices is how independent contract works. Versus if we have a guarantee, then we lose all negotiating power. I know that's a weird middle ground where there's people who do have an hourly wage who do independent contract gigs. Like I do the working apps, for example. I went and cleaned PPG Arena and other places based on an hourly rate, but I accepted it for that because if those orders, they sit, they guarantee a bonus or they up the hourly pay. So there's still negotiating power if the stuff sits around and enough people don't take it. That's what I'm trying to say. And then I don't have a guaranteed hourly pay behind that. I accepted it for what I saw. That's what needed to happen, not an hourly guarantee in the behind, and unions don't need to be involved. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, but we use we're independent contractors, in my opinion, strictly for tax purposes. You can't tell me anything different. That's how I feel
Okay,
about it. That's how the company's designed it. That's the
wait.
pay model structure. So we're using lingo that other independent contractors use, but it does not align with the everyday work that we do. And that's the
Well,
struggle. We can't agree even what we are and like how we should be treated. That's part of the issue right now. And that
but in a
the apps
way,
have the upper hand, you know? Like
you can't
it's
really say
not.
that because we don't. The app does not dictate who pays what. The app does not dictate how much the customer tips. And
No,
it's
they
like
do.
we
Actually, no, hold up. They do. The app
Easy Cater does.
dictates. The app manipulates.
suggests, suggests.
It does,
In
but
other words,
we've
you
seen
can
that
put
change
an
over
order
time.
in
Let
on
him explain.
DoorDash, right? For however much it is, and then the DoorDash will set the
Suggests.
tip, a suggested tip. The customer has to physically, so say the $0 tip orders, it's not that way by default. They have to zero it out.
That's that. Now
This
you
is the
understand
thing.
it.
I'll give you an example. I DoorDashed one of our friends here the other day a McDonald's order because she's a new mother, wasn't feeling well. It was like I have the Dash Pass, stuff like that, and
I do too.
so basically I got the reduced fees. So with the subtotal of the order plus the small fees that were maintained, it came out to $15. The
No.
suggested tip that DoorDash suggested by default was $4.75.
Yeah, I know $5. I know,
That's not even that
and I
bad.
can't
which
do
was
that.
give or take about 30%.
Those are your golden goose on fast
because
food.
it's a small dollar amount. Versus, yeah, I also have the Walmart Plus too. It's again set by default of 10%. So a customer orders, say for I did a shopping order here the other day, and I actually quit halfway through when I actually realized what the tip was and how much items it was. I put it in on the app.
Oh,
It
work,
was
not
like
fun.
almost $300 worth of food, and they couldn't even tip $5. 10% of that would have been 30.
Really agreed.
So check it. What I was getting at is like he was saying the average order is $5 or $6, and that's true. The reason being that's true, and that's why I say you got to understand your market. You got to understand not just your market, what business you're in. In the morning, people are not ordering for several people. People are ordering single meals, and people do not eat big meals in the morning. No one's eating a
Or
feast
lunch.
for the morning. Okay, now lunchtime, your orders start getting a little bit bigger. Why? Because people will order for multiple people for lunch. You'll have businesses that'll order. That's why they start getting a little bit. And then when it gets to dinner, they get huge because people are ordering for their family. People are ordering big feasts. So what I'm saying to you is yes, and that's why I said my model is when you go out here, you do breakfast and lunch together. You don't just do breakfast. You don't
This is
just do
why.
lunch.
This is why I'm
You
for
do breakfast
pre-scheduled
and lunch
catering.
together, and you make a very good. You make a very good, and accurate. It'll be steady, and you have to do breakfast and lunch together because they're both. Your breakfast ain't gonna be banging. No breakfast is gonna be banging because it's not banging. It's not for that. You're gonna be taking those $5, $6 orders. Take a lot of them. Keep taking them. Don't come off the clock. Come on.
Okay. Can I explain something? The fast food orders that have the $4 to $5 tip were meant to keep us busy. Those are your golden goose that keep you going. We don't
morning
expect them
and
otherwise.
afternoon. I don't take them at night. I don't take them at night.
When good B2B early day hot shot or pre-scheduled orders come up, and those are the best times for that, depending on your market. But generally around the country, that's the truth. Because there is some catering in there that can be really good. Tim's an example. He gets like, $1,000 orders early in the morning. And, they're $100 guaranteed gratuity. And then evening is, on the on-demand side, that's when people are ordering hundreds of dollars of stuff, or at least $50. Like I'm an individual. I go to work. I'm ordering my stuff for the week. I'm spending $50 to $75 on freaking Aldi or Hannaford. And that's when that stuff comes good. And as far as like you're saying, oh, if you have Walmart Plus or Dash Pass, I do notice a huge difference between what I suggest. So when I was not on Dash Pass, do you know what the most often, like if I get like Taco Bell or McDonald's with my grocery order, because I'm like, I don't want to cook tonight. I don't want to make the food. And so I just get whatever, or Chinese. The most often level they suggested me was $2 to $3, no matter what I spent on it. $2 to $3. So what these apps are doing, they're doing a calculation in their head. They're like, oh, how can we bring more value to the customer? And that's at fault of that old Instacart CEO who's like, we got to bring more value to the customer and do 5% tips. But now that I'm a Dash Pass member, the tip rate suggests what we should get paid for those type of orders. It's suggesting $10 to $20 on those $50 to $75 orders for a tip, and that's what we should get paid. And if someone actually communicates well with me, they follow my instructions, $5 guarantee post tip. On any food delivery, if you at least bring it warm, $2 guarantee post tip for me. If you're communicative and you follow my instructions, $5 post tip. Boom. Because I'm a generous tipper.
But Soda got
That's
the money.
problem.
But what I was gonna say is that's what we are dealing with, you guys. You're dealing with the people's mind, and that's why I was trying to say, like, we can't
One of them suggested
try to say
not the same, because
you can't say.
most
Go
people
ahead.
just click. They want their stuff.
But I'm just saying you can't say like, oh, we need like you were saying earlier about
Adam,
how
it's
they need
because
to
of
help us
just
pay, help
outdated rules.
help us. Like we're sitting on the clock, and 3 or 4 declines, the app should pay me because I've been on this app for man. Because there's a certain time where it's gonna be orders, and it's gonna be a lot of them. You get me? And I tell people this: it's always gonna be more people eating than more people driving. It's always gonna be more people eating than driving. I don't care what you say. Everybody gotta eat. This ain't going nowhere. We all gotta eat. So it's gonna always be more people eating than driving.
I mean, DoorDash kind of did that, but they should have done it better in my opinion, right? Like they put in the safeguard in place because for people to just say if you were signed on and earned by time, well, it did it from the way it did because otherwise say you could just sit on the side of the road declining.
That's
orders,
what I'm saying. Nobody gonna pay you for that.
So what I think that they should have done, and even no matter what, even if you're in earn per offer mode or say for example Spark, what I think is so when an order pops up, you see a dollar amount, right? Or if you're on DoorDash earn by time, you just see whatever the guaranteed rate is for that, plus the customer tips. What I think could be a very good and probably would be a lot less of a risk to us, because in the earn by time mode as it exists currently, we don't know if the customer tips $0, they could have tipped $20. We don't know until we drop it off. What I think it should show is before we, or even anyway, we should see what part of that is the tip before we even hit that accept button.
Yeah, that's what the Colorado version is, bud. As far as the comment that came on screen, the super chat, the reason why you can't offer actual benefits, you can offer discounts, partnerships, but the reason why you can't is because of the current independent contractor law. Now, DoorDash, Uber, and all of them have been trying to push it. Full disclosure, I was a member of DAG, which is one level below ZCC. That's something we did talk about, and I still get emails to this day about it, even though I'm deactivated. And the reason you can't is because the independent contractor law says you can't offer benefits. So there was someone on here named Slavic D. Pedro, we both met him in real life at the first gig conference. He did try that because insurance companies said they have to be your employees, but they were independent contractors. So like he was doing contracting work, and they were literally independent contractors, the most traditional kind, construction workers. And you can't do that, and he got in a lot of legal trouble because he tried to offer those benefits directly, saying, hey, you get a big discount on health insurance when I think Obamacare first came out, the ACA. And you can't do that as independent contractors, which in my opinion, that does need to change. They need to be, if they want to offer benefits, let them. Well, why does it matter if they're independent contractors or W-2? It doesn't matter. But the current law says we can't do that. And I think it should change based on that. And you should be able to voluntarily just decline or say yes, like a W-2. You don't have to accept their benefit package that takes whatever X amount of dollars after you. Unless you're a union member, then you can't say yes. If you agree to be a union member, you have to agree to the package that comes with it.
Why nobody just ain't trying to pay for their own benefits, man? Like all independent contractors do, man. Why we begging companies to do that? Why we begging the companies to do that? Why we won't just pay out? Why we won't just do what we supposed to do?
I went on Aflac's website, for example. The amount of money that they want just for this, like, I mean, at that point, you may as well be on Cobra. Like,
but it's the same thing that all independent contractors go through.
$500-$600 for health insurance, and then
it's the same thing all independent contractors go through.
Cobra's meant for between W-2.
And then you don't even get all of the whole benefits right away. There's a waiting period before they'll even give you all the things that included.
Again, those are all attachments that came to ACA. That's a different conversation than the one we're having now.
And I could start a whole big old mess with this because, like I said, it's a mindset behind all of this. You guys, if people started making if everybody did what you're supposed to do in independent contracting, and I'm gonna be real with you, people not understanding this. I was an independent contractor for BrandSmart. I'm just trying to get y'all to understand something. People don't understand this, man. Go LLC is junk, and you'll get so many more tax right. I'm not a financial advisor here.
LLC,
come on, man.
Contact
come on, man.
CPA.
You know what I mean? You get it? There's things everybody want to know. You gotta think like an independent contractor. You gotta understand that, man. Go LLC, jump.
Can I give a disclaimer? Disclaimer. This live stream is not meant to be legal, financial, or business advice of any kind. Go do your own research and contact qualified professionals such as a CPA. Use what you hear here at your own discretion, guys.
Exactly.
You don't need to do a disclaimer on this channel. We're fine here.
Okay, but
I don't worry about that shit.
But you understand?
I mean, we did it.
You get it though. But you get what I'm saying? Does everybody really feel me though? Like, you see where I'm going with this though? Like, it's this. You gotta, because a lot of individuals that do this are coming out of the work field and coming out. You know what I mean?
So they have a W-2 mindset. You do understand.
Yeah, man. And it's like, you gotta understand that this ain't that. And once I say this on everybody's comment when I'm saying if you change your mindset and say that this is a business, you'll start looking at it and dealing with it.
So if you grew up doing side work, or you push mobile because you were young, you probably have a better understanding of what we do for work versus someone that just, like my first real job was McDonald's. Most people follow that career path where the first real job was some kind of food service or retail or some base level job, and they've never done hustling for themselves where they said, hey, someone says, hey, will you do $25 if you come mow my lawn? I got to push more than a weed eater. Come do it. For a kid, that's good money, especially back in the day when I was a kid. But nowadays it's like, people don't understand that because most people haven't ever seen that, especially in the cities.
A little insight. When we're getting paid at BrandSmart, it's through a third party. Look at this. We are independent contractors. BrandSmart is the wholesaler. They hire Ryder to they give the routes and the contract to Ryder. Ryder gives it to us. Ryder said, we paying you guys $25 each delivery,
Good
and you
job,
get
boys.
paid $5 each extra piece. So what I mean by that is that's how you got paid. That's how
So
you got paid from that.
what you did
You
was
get-
a blend of traditional
And
trucking app job boards and what apps like InstaWork or Winolo do.
no. It's the same thing like this. It's the same identical workup, mock-up. Think about it. You
That's
see?
what it is. That's what I'm trying to say. I agree
Oh,
with
okay,
you.
go ahead. I'm sorry. But you get it? And if you look at it, and I'm just using that as just a little, but if you look at it from that aspect and you start looking, because that's why I tell you, I went in my 401k, man. I took my car. People don't do this. I went and I put a tune up on my car. I went and changed the oil in my car. I went and changed the tire, put all good tires in my car, because that's a work truck now. If you're just trying to full time, I be complaining about your dang on car. You know what I mean? Like
That's
that's
what's
your work
weird
truck.
about those kind of job opportunities now that they're on apps like Quick, Winolo, and InstaWork. Quick with a W, by the way, if you guys want to look it up. And if you do those kind of gigs, there's W-2 ones. So like all the colleges around the Pittsburgh region were W-2 offers, and a lot of the dining opportunities were W-2, but there was a lot of independent contractor ones where you're doing setup and post cleaning of events where you could go and, you know, if you didn't like the initial offer, you could wait for the bonuses and the extra dollar per hour to come out and you accept it at that. And that's what that is, or versus how many pieces you did in your case, because that was old school back in the day, how they did it. And that's just a modern version of it. And most people don't understand that concept. They can't understand it. They can't get a grasp on it because they think it's just one set hourly wage, no matter what. And that's their mentality. And in New York City, it was like 8% of all the gig workers there wanted that legislation versus the majority were just indifferent. And then you got guys like us, like, you know, Hannibal's Hungry, he's in New York City, who understood what we do. And they were on channels like this discussing these things.
And that's all I'm saying. Like you guys got, like that's what I said. I went in my 401k. I made my car ready for this. You know what I mean? Then, like I said, people, it's just like a business. You gotta understand. Like it takes time to learn this and figure it out, and then you gotta put aside for it's just like independent country. You gotta put aside for the problems. You gotta put aside for what may happen. You gotta think about that this not working. Just like he's saying, what if the app stop? Okay, you gotta have a plan B. And people just out here going, come on, man.
There's like really amazing budgeting apps these days. So a lot of you probably know Ramsey or the guy with the
Ramsey's
glasses.
$EveryDollar app. And
Yeah. There's another
it'll link it'll just link by itself,
so there's
so you
two
don't have to do it manually.
Yeah, there's two major apps that are like $5 or less a month that let you budget. And especially if you're an independent contractor and you don't understand that, those people need those apps the most.
And I can
And
give
they
you
need to set aside money for if something bad happens for an emergency fund for repairs. But Alex, go ahead. What do you
people don't understand $100 a day for 30 days. Y'all do the math. $100 a day for 30 days. You do the dang on math.
You kind of cut out, Bub Soda. Like, what were you trying to tell me to go ahead with? What I thought?
Do you understand that people who think in a W-2 mentality are the ones who need the budgeting apps the most to set aside money and how to run a business the most? Because those budgeting apps help you do that. Caleb Hammer, that's who I'm thinking of.
Well, I mean, I've seen those apps, but I'm like, well, then you're in that's kind of almost what I see, or well, what I look at it is, well, Dave Ramsey calls it for people that are in the land of payments, right? Like, so, you got a car payment, you could have a new iPhone and got payments on it or whatever. But
Caleb's a little less harsh
I don't
on that.
really think it pertains more so into that. I would just more so like it when having, let's say, the banking apps. Like, for example, I do Spark, and the common payment method for that is one pay because you get paid instantly. And what you can do on there is, so you could have this has the feature called pay auto save, and so it sets a certain amount aside for you. Just a percent. You could put a flat rate every time you get paid. You could put a percentage. So I have
That's
it
my
for
money to
my
that.
own,
That is,
right? In
I
my
love the
own scenario,
independence,
I
man.
got it
I
at
just
like
want independency. I
25% of
love the
every
independency.
pay that comes in is set aside.
Let him talk about.
So,
What did you say? Because I couldn't hear you, Alex. Something about setting something aside.
so yes, for example, how I do a lot of Spark and DoorDash and stuff. Well, for my Spark, I have one pay as my payment method, so it pays out right after I swipe confirm to complete delivery. And so what it has is the pay auto save. So
Yep.
you can set a flat rate, you can set a percentage of every time you get paid or whatever. And myself, how I currently have mine is I have it set at 25%. So every payment from Spark that comes in, the trip earnings, tips, incentives, whatever the amount is, 25% of that is set aside in the pay auto savings account, and it earns, I believe their current rate is 3.75% for APY. So
Nice,
Yeah,
nice.
I had
So
when
you
I was
get that
doing
instead.
Spark, I had the one pay, and it would automatically put some money into the savings. I didn't pay much attention to it. I didn't know I could change it, but obviously I don't do that anymore. So that
Hey,
money's been
hey, Joe,
yeah,
transferred. But
do you remember when there was an app that kind of set the precedent for doing all this, and it was just for gig workers? They'd like set loans, and you could set money aside, like we need to, like that currently does. What was that called? Do you remember? Because I
I
remember they
have no
started the
idea.
channel like
I
early
never
on.
one that there was like, oh, I don't know anything of that one. I'm thinking of a different one. I don't know what it's called, but I don't remember what it's called. But basically, it'll say, so for whatever apps you have, it would charge you like a small monthly fee. I think it was like $10, and it would say, "This is what you're expected to make
Solo, you're talking about
within
Solo.
this time frame."
Yeah,
And
Solo
That's
does
the
if
something
Solo
you
app.
similar.
didn't get that amount, they would pay the difference.
That's Solo. You're talking about
Yeah,
Solo.
Solo.
Solo, and there's like two other
I
major
work
apps that
with
do that.
Solo directly for like 4 years now.
Yeah.
So that's the guaranteed earning, which they had in some marketplaces. That you're talking about Solo, but so to answer your question, I don't remember. I don't know what app that
Yeah,
you're
it like
referring
there
to. I
was
don't remember
Buckle
that
that
one.
went under, and there was one other before them that went under, and I think they both came to
Yeah,
the gig conference. I can't remember which
I have
one,
I have no
but
idea.
it
I
did
So,
set a
believe
but hey,
precedent, even though the
listen,
big banks tried to bury them.
gentlemen, we're past the 2 hour mark.
Yeah,
Bud Soda, Paul was on earlier, Alex. I gotta get the full name. Mindset Manny. Is it Manny?
Yes, my real
Okay,
name's Emmanuel. That's why it's
got it.
Manny.
Mindset Manny. Okay, I just want to make
Yeah.
sure I say it right because that's the names are important. Thanks for giving me y'all time tonight. I appreciate the candor, the opinions, the perspective, the
And that's
back and
why I come
forth. I
on.
mean,
And it's to
it's
meet
all
you
good.
too. It's to
Yeah,
meet
no,
you as well. But I've been watching you for a minute, man, and I love coming on. And
who
I've
knows.
been doing this for about
yeah.
3, 4, 5 years. And
Pedro? Maybe one day we'll cross paths. I've come down to St. Louis before. Maybe one day we'll cross paths. Who
Yeah,
yeah.
knows?
it feels like a
Iowa's
2021
not
live,
far.
man.
Iowa's not far, man. I run into people
Yeah,
just about every
you're
day. So
literally right below me, but it also depends on what St. Louis are you talking about? Because like I've driven through it, and it basically, as far as I'm concerned, like there's St. Louis County that's like the last 4 hours from like the middle of the state till
Uh,
the
he's
Tennessee
not
no,
far
border.
from the just gotta put it that way.
I am 10 minutes from downtown St. Louis. St. Louis ain't that big. I'm 10 minutes from downtown. St. Louis is easy to navigate. So
Yeah.
if you're ever even,
So you're actually
His
yeah,
talking
wife
like
Ken's out in the
literal
country
city
now,
of
and he
St.
knows St.
Louis,
Louis
not
County like the back of his
county.
hand. He can tell you everything where you
yeah,
don't
yeah.
and do want to go. And I love my experience in St. Louis. It's a cheaper city. And as long as you don't go in the wrong places at night, it's actually not as bad as people think it is, even though it's considered statistically the worst city in the country. But like,
Yeah,
I
but
think
you know
that's
what?
more
Listen,
local on local
People
kind
have
of thing
said that
because I
about
never had a problem with
Davenport and Des
nobody.
Moines,
I never ran into a bad experience.
but
that's
it's
per
not really that
capita,
bad.
and St. Louis is very unique when it comes to similar sized cities because we're not like a big city, we're like medium sized. But the way that our crime stats and things get reported, we have so many sub cities within the city. That's why it's like that. It's really weird. I mean, I've done gig work now for what, 5 years, and yeah, I've been in. I know the bad areas, but like, it's not every. Listen, every major city has crime. Every major city has a hood. Every city
Yeah.
has it. I rep St. Louis till the day I die. I was born in Chicago. So when people talk about St. Louis being dangerous, I'm from I was at Cabrini Greens in Chicago before they tore it down. So St. Louis ain't shit to me. Like
Yeah.
it's not that bad. I love this city. It's a great place to live. I'll kind of end the panel with that because I know a lot of people, St. Louis is dangerous. It's not. It's if you're from like a small town, if you go to certain neighborhoods in St. Louis, it will be a culture shock for you. But if you live in any kind of major city and you come to St. Louis, you're gonna be like, man, this is a small town. Like what? There's nothing going on here. But
Yeah,
it's
Maryland
not that bad.
Heights. There's Maryland Heights. There's St. Charles, but
Yeah, that's my
but it all
point.
gets reported as St. Louis because St. Louis
Exactly.
County.
Exactly.
Because
It's
St.
very,
Louis
very
County, it's
different
like
here.
goes from the middle of the state to the Tennessee border.
It's weird,
That's a
man.
lot of
It's
small
weird.
cities in
Yeah,
there.
from
It's weird.
Illinois,
But
Tennessee.
there's a lot of crazy things happening in St. Louis, like in the '60s and the migration of people changing. There's a lot of politics here that are really weird. It's very strange. But anyways, that's not for this stream. So, gentlemen, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you.
end the stream. I'll have some
Nice meeting you
final saying
guys.
goodbyes. Thank you guys very much.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care, everybody. Thank you for coming on the stream.
All right.
Let's see. All right. Oh shit. Oh. All right. Anyways. All right. He said Democratic potholes. Yeah. Well, for that it does. But Chicago's it's 10 times. Well, not 10. It's not 10 times the size, but it's probably might be close to 10 times the size of St. Louis. I don't know. It's weird. So yeah. Listen. Oh man, tonight's live went in directions I did not think or even wanted it to go, but it's organic. This is a live for the people. I provide an open link. Anybody can come on. You click the link. You give perspective on the topics at hand. Listen. I think when I'm talking about reset, people are like, well, what do you know about the apps? Like, what's actually happening? Nothing's actually happening right now. It's about what is coming, what people think is coming. There's going to be a shift, a change, whatever word, a reset, a restructure, a difference in 2026, whether via legislation, we've already seen it in some places in the last few years, right? I mean, talk to a Seattle driver, talk to a California driver, a Massachusetts driver, talk to a New York City driver or worker. They can tell you a lot about changes that have happened for them, good and bad, on both sides. Some would be all good, some would say it's all bad. But some of these things are going to happen to us, to you, where you're living right now. Legislation's being written, unions are being formed. Those are facts. Those are happening. So we're going to see pros and cons of it. That's part of the reset because what's yet to be determined is how the companies will mindset. Appreciate that $2, man. Thank you, brother. Part of the major reset is going to be how the companies react to things that they've even agreed upon. They've compromised on unions in California with Uber and Lyft drivers and rideshare. So if it's happening there, what happens to the food delivery aspect of it? TBD, to be determined, yet to be known. But how the companies react that's the most impactful thing for us. What we do, impact, absolutely. But their response their response to it is going to be the most impactful when it comes to how then we are going to react to the reset that's coming. Because people are coming and going in the gig economy. It's going to continue to be that way. If anything, if the economy continues to go the way it goes, more people will have to do gig work. Have to. Okay? I met a woman Friday. I never met her before. I saw her at Sam's Club. Okay? And I can tell she's Instacart because, you got the phone and, she got the flatbed. And then maybe 2 hours later, I see her at Costco. An hour after that, I'm at Costco. So I see her again 3 times. 3 times. Never seen her before, which is whatever. There's a lot of people, right? But finally, the third time, I'm like, you must be doing Instacart because we're at the bananas, So, yeah. This woman was, I don't know, younger than me, probably 30, 35, house mom. I'm assuming. We didn't have a major conversation. But when she said, yeah, the defeat in her voice, the look of pain on her in her eyeballs was like she was not wanting to do what she was doing. She was doing it for a reason. Obviously, we all do it for a reason. But some are forced into it for whatever reason. And I said to her, how's it going? You doing all right today? She goes, it's been kind of a grind. Like this woman did not look like she wanted to be doing what she was doing. And usually when I run into people, it's more positive pleasantries, or maybe I've seen them before, or they're like, oh, it's cool, But like this was like she had the look, and I could be wrong, but I'm decent at reading people. She had to look at somebody that just was probably pretty new, okay, and did not want to be doing what she's doing. We're going to see more of that. That's part of that reset. Like the more people that are doing it, you got to adapt. You got to change. We talked about that tonight. Like we have control over some things, but like I'm telling you, the way the apps are going to react to legislation and unions, these things are happening, pushed or not pushed. It's how you react to it's going to be more impactful. We're doing things, people are putting things in motion. The company then, cause and effect, will react to that in positive or negative ways, depending on how you feel. And then the last part of this is you. What will you do? How will you react? Will you stay in it? Will you work less? Will you work more? Will you ditch apps, add apps, change days of the week, up your minimum? When I was doing DoorDash last year, I was doing a decent amount of orders that were $5, $6, $7. My average order on DoorDash was 7, and some weeks it was closer to 10, if I had some caterings but like that's not a lot of money. In doing the Walmarts that I was doing, and I'm doing Instacart and the private runs I'm doing now, and I only touch Uber Eats if it's really good or if it's like en route. My average order right now is $30. It doesn't mean I don't take a $6 Uber Eats or a $10 Instacart. Hear what I'm saying. My average order has gone up. I'm doing less work as far as volume of deliveries per day, but I'm making more per order. I'm driving overall a little bit less, not significant amount, because I don't worry about mileage like that. Okay, I just don't. If you know, you know. I just don't. Mileage is a factor at times, but the averages average it out, and there's tax benefits and other benefits. I don't worry about that. If you take care of your vehicle and the mileage, some of you are scared to drive, but we deliver food, right? Anyways, so I'm saying there's levels to this, like, when the reset happens, how you react to it and how you adapt to it, whether it's getting deactivated or legislation or unions or saturation. These are all just things. Take the emotion out of it, figure out how you're going to fit yourself into it. And if you can't fit yourself into the work, because change will be coming, not the kind of work won't change, but there will be things that will change with the work that a lot of us won't like. You might need to exit stage left and find something else or find a new path. Because I do believe some legislation's coming and it's going to hurt. It's going to be painful. I think some of us are very excited right now. We got some wins. We're winning, but we're winning a battle at the cost of the war. I said that last week and the week before. That scares me a little bit. I think too many of us are worried about words. I don't like unions. I'm independent. I don't want to be an employee. I don't want this. I don't want metrics. Those are words. Dollars and cents is what is pushing the needle for most people that come into the gig economy. When you ask somebody, how's your week going? How'd you do today? What do they always say? They relate that to money. How's your day going? What'd you make today? I made this today. How long did it take you? How many miles did you drive? Money, money, money. It's all I hear. When an app goes off, I hear money. When I'm waiting on an order, I'm thinking about money because now it's taking longer. When I get stuck in traffic, I'm thinking about money. If I get deactivated off an app, oh, I lost an opportunity. Money. How do I make it up? Everything is that. I'm not dropping no knowledge on y'all. That's just a fact. So any legislation or unions, it's all going to be tied to money. It's all going to be tied to how is this impacting your wallet? Forget about the words. Forget about if you're called this or you're called that or there's a tier program or the metrics go away or the metrics stay. Are you going to make more or less money? Period. Full stop. End of discussion. Because if you're not, then what we did was for nothing. If what changes after the reset is you're making more earnings, more money, for most of you, that's all that matters. Because you're not doing these jobs because you love them. Some of you might. It's not why I do it. I don't love doing Instacart and Uber. No, I don't love that. Hot take here. I don't love it. It's a means to an end. It's a way I provide. It's not who I am. It's not what I want to be. It's not what money, 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 money. When the reset happens, when things start to change, that's the only thing that most of you are going to be thinking and worried about. Because if you woke up tomorrow and the app called you an employee, hey, you're an employee now. You got to take every order. You got to schedule a week out. When are you available? Make sure you're available. If not, you're going to get write-ups and things like that. You got so many call-outs and cancellations and all these things are here. They're in white and blue or black and white, just like a W-2. You're an employee, but you're getting $22 an hour to deliver. 99% of y'all will be ecstatic. Maybe you might be part of that 1%. I get it because you're making more than 22. But most of y'all and most drivers would be like, I'll sign up for that. I'll do that. Give me a hat to wear, whatever. Don't care. And that's the experience that most people want to have. They just want to make money. Oh, on top of that 22, you get $50 a week in gas. You're going to take your car that you're going to use. We're not giving you a company car, but you're going to take your car to this shop every 3 months for whatever, a checkup. And then major repairs, here, click this link. There's a discount for those. You'd be fine. Because at the end of the day, you'd be making more money. So call yourself what you want. Feel how you feel. Nobody cares. Money makes the world go around. It's dollars and cents. When we are delivering food and we're making good money, you're probably in a better mood. When you have a bad day, it's probably because you didn't make good money. Money, it's like with sports. Winning cures a lot. I don't know who's a sports person here, how many teams you've been on. When you have a bad locker room, it's typically because you're losing or you're on a losing streak. It's rare occasions you got a bad apple and they're just a little crazy and then maybe they get traded. But when you're winning, it makes everything easier. It makes coaching easier, relationships easier, your moods easier. It makes the injury easier. When you're losing or when you're not making money, everything's exaggerated. Everything's a bigger deal than it really is. The reset's coming. How are you going to react? Life is not what happens to you, it's how you react to it. I know we've all heard that. I am a firm believer in that. And I say that coming from the stance of, I show you guys a lot. Been deactivated twice in the last 14 months or so. Did you see me stop working? Yeah, I might have complained a little bit. I have a channel on YouTube. It's entertaining. It's raw. It's real. Got demonetized on YouTube. Did I stop making videos? Did I cower? Did I run and hide? Did I play the victim? Oh, YouTube. I'm taking my talents over here. I'm going to whatever, Rumble. No. Once again, I might have been upset. But how you react to things that happen to you, whether they're your fault or not, whether you can control them or not, that is going to lay the foundation for your future. If you're going to be able to continue to provide, you're going to be able to do this. You're going to be able to hold these relationships. I've had some crazy things happen in the last year. 2 weeks from now, will be 1 year of me not drinking. I'm on a recovery sobriety journey. I've almost 1 year without alcohol. Since that time, I've had some crazy things happen in my life. It's not about what happens, it's how you react to when you get punched, to when somebody wrongs you, when a legislation doesn't go your way or a union comes in. Are you going to cry about it? Or are you going to react in a way that allows you to continue to earn and take care of what you need to take care of in this industry or another? That is life. But I'm a little worried that we're focused on the battles that we're winning and we're going to lose a war. Because these companies are backed by billionaire CEOs, shareholders, and politicians. And they're going to do everything to keep their piece of the pie. That worries me a little bit. It just does. It just does. All right. Anybody got some final thoughts here? Dasher Phil, thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, it's been a crazy year, but I'm happy to. Thank you, Jeremy. It's almost been, listen, one day at a time. But Taz, what up, man? They said it was tips that was owed to me. Check your one account. Oh, you got some one account money from Spark? Lovely. I'll check mine when I get off. So yeah, man, listen. Reset's coming. What kind of button you gonna press? When that button gets pressed on you, how you gonna react? What tools you gonna use? What apps you gonna have? How you gonna? Because some of y'all are gonna have some union options, especially if you're in California, you're gonna have that, and you're gonna like it, and some of you won't. Some of you are gonna write legislation that gets passed, it doesn't get passed. Some of the legislation that comes in might help you in the first part of 2026, but in the apps react, and in the second half of 2026, it's complete garbage. We have to be ready for that because the roller coaster of the gig economy is going to continue, and we're still pick up, drop off. So let's not make it any more difficult than it needs to be. And I think if we align too close, if we buddy too close to politicians, that scares the shit out of me. But that's for a whole nother stream, maybe. Badger, thanks for the $4.99, man. Congrats, Pedro, on your sobriety, brother. Respect. Thank you, man. It ain't easy. Somebody asked me earlier, I think they were kind of joking. What are you drinking, Pedro? I had iced tea in this cup, but I had a nice little laugh because they were trying to poke fun, I think. But I'm a blessed individual. I love doing YouTube. I like being in the gig economy. It works for me as far as this kind of stuff. I got plans and I still do other things. I've been pretty consistent with saying I don't recommend anybody doing this full time. If you do it full time and you make it work, like respect. I respect that. That will be for some, but it will not be for the majority of people. I think we've seen that. I mean, Bud Soda did it full time. Didn't last. He's got a union job now, right? So I think we have to understand the reality of most people's experiences. The longer you stay in it, the majority of us will fail. That's just how it is. And there's not, when you fail doesn't mean it was your fault. It doesn't mean that something's completely broken. This is side hustle work. This is extra money work. This is like in between work. Like the lady I saw at Instacart. I would, in my imagination, she's got divorced. She had never ring on her finger. Maybe something happened. She's got kids. Maybe she's helping her mom that's sick. Like she's doing work that she doesn't want to do. that is life, though. You know, like it's just life. It's life. Oh, but so does still in the gig economy. Political streams. Yikes. Hybrid model is what I recommend. Oh man, I love it. What else do we got? Anybody else got anything else to say before we end the live? It's a little longer than I've been going about 2 hours, so we're at 2.5 this week, but that's okay. Tomorrow's Labor Day. Happy Labor Day to everybody. I will be working a little bit, but my expectations are they're tempered for tomorrow. I'm 55 and always the oldest on gig workers, but now seeing others my age. Oh, Stanley, man. Yeah, I mean, every time I accept a roadie, they give it to someone else. Yeah, it's crazy. AP Delivery and Side Gigs, thanks for being in the live chat tonight. There are things you can add and your pickup and drop off so you don't have to depend so much on these apps. Absolutely. There's, I just, and I've been, this is probably my own issue. It's a personal thing. There's times I feel like I failed some people in this community because like I haven't done a good enough job showing like everything that I do, like with money, you know. But maybe that's my own insecurities, or maybe I'm not trying to, because I do show a lot. I share a lot with you guys, obviously. But like I think I think some of us, a lot of us even, think in such very small increments. We're thinking at $6 at a time. Because that's the average order for food delivery is like $6-7, guys. And when you do that for so long, and then you're using all of your own everything else with no protection, no nothing, it can be a grind. Um, it just can. And I see a lot of other people that are like doing things and it's like $1,000 checks. You know what I mean? Or $10,000 here. And like that's where the real freedom comes into play. And some of us on this channel have experienced that. Some of you guys, right? But not enough of us have because we're just still stuck in that rat race because this can be easy to do and gets comfortable and it's just an app and it's so effective and easy. They do that on purpose to keep us the hamsters on the wheel, and yeah, I don't know. It's when we're thinking in such small amounts, it's hard to get into that. It's hard to get a house when you're delivering for $6 at a pop. It's hard to save. It's hard to have money for a car repair. For some of us, it's hard to have money for the rent and the mortgage or the bills when you're making 150, $200 a day. Like that's difficult for most people, especially if you got kids. Like it's hard. Most Americans are one major car repair away or one loss of a job away from like homelessness or an eviction or not being able to pay for this or that. It sucks, man. It does. And that's why I believe we do need some changes in the gig apps for the majority of drivers so they have some level of stability and respect. Because customers don't respect us mostly. The apps don't respect us, you know? So that's why I'm not against having people work with us. I'm not. I'm not against that. That will serve the greater good. So I think sometimes we just get so personal, we get into our own egos, we get into our own whatever. We're not thinking about the common man. We're not thinking about somebody else's experience. Jay Walk, appreciate that, brother. Thanks, man. Yeah, they're back. They've been back for, I guess, about 6 weeks ago. I think I missed 1 week in the last 6 weeks, which was, I think, 2 weeks ago. But open panel, I'm just, yeah, man, trying to get my legs back. And it feels really good. I miss doing these lives. I went about 6-7 months without doing them consistently. And it feels really, really good to be back. It was great to see you tonight. Thank you for the love, man. Not necessary, but I do appreciate that. Hillside Roadie is not busy. Jeremy, yeah, nah, Roadie's a filler. But listen, I want y'all to think about when things are going to change for some of us, more dependent upon the state that you live in and what's going to happen. Just be ready. Be ready to be quick and thinking about those things now. Hey, what would happen if I had this opportunity? Do some research. Hey, if a union came to my marketplace, what would I think about that? Okay, let me do some research. Let me listen to some people. You can chat GBT some things. Okay, now I have a little more information than I had yesterday. All right, that's cool. Okay, if legislation comes and I can see this, and okay, that'd be great. Okay, but if the apps react, okay, what's my counter move? let's not play checkers. Let's play chess. Couple moves ahead. I've always said on this channel, you got to be 6 months ahead of the trends. What are the new apps coming up? What are people thinking about? What are companies spending money on where I can get involved in that? What are the new things for delivery? Is it catering? Is it medical? There's other things. What are people transporting? What are people in my marketplace spending money on? What are they prioritizing? Do some research in your marketplace, not in St. Louis, because you don't live here. Well, some of y'all do, but most of y'all don't. Think about that so that in 6 months, when you do your homework for the next 6 months, you're positioning yourself to be in a better position, more confidence with the apps or the job that you have, whatever. Or maybe you acquired a skill within that 6 months, a trade. Maybe you went back to school. Maybe instead of working 40 hours a week, you're working 35. And with those 5 hours, you're acquiring a skill, a trade. You're going to, you understand what I'm saying? Like, that's where we need to be. I share that with you because those are some of the things that I've done to where when I do get deactivated or if I have a bad day, I'm maybe not happy about it, but I ain't stressed. I'm not begging y'all for money on YouTube. Like, oh God, I pray to God I never have to do things like that. Some people have to, and that's sad to me. Like we're good because I'm 6 months ahead. I'm always gonna adapt. I'm never gonna play the victim. I might not like things that happen. I might fight back, but I'm still gonna get up every day, just like you, and figure out what I got to do. So 6 months from now, in your state, when there's legislation or there's a union, be ready to make the appropriate decision for you and your family, and don't be steered by another content creator or me or a friend or your past experience with a job that you were a part of or whatever in. Make the decision for you and yours. That's gonna suit you better, not what Bud Soda said tonight or me or this guy over here or I got this over here and I don't want to be an employee. What do you want? Don't What I want is irrelevant. What I want is important to me and the two girls that are sleeping upstairs. Look, that's it. And the people I deal with in my everyday life and my other immediate family, great. But at the end of the day, it's the three of us. And the moves that I make or don't make impact this household. And that's it. And I want y'all to do good and be ready, but be ready. Play chess, not checkers. 6 months ahead, be prepared so that when and if something happens, when the reset happens, when something changes in your marketplace and you have new options or options are taken away or your pay goes down or up, the same thing can be said if something is given to you. If now you're going to be making more money, what are you doing with that money? Are you investing it? Are you saving it? Right? Being prepared and being ready months in advance. When you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. I want y'all to stay ready. Okay? Stay ready. Gig economy or outside of it. Stay ready. The people that are successful in my life, this is what they tell me, and I learn from those individuals. Right? And I was always a hard way learner growing up, and it took me a while to figure things out. But I try to share some motivation or my passion or my experiences with y'all. That's why I still make the daily content. I don't care like if I'm making money, if I'm not making money, like the YouTube check will be what it is. But I'm still giving y'all what I can give you guys every single day and hoping that you guys can then turn that into yourself, turn it into your own little thing. And that's what I got for y'all. I have fun. I don't know about y'all. I'm a little tired. I appreciate all the super chats, all the thumbs up, the panelists, everybody coming on the show tonight. Appreciate y'all very, very much for all the love and support throughout these crazy times here on YouTube and here on the gig apps. We're going to be okay. Because even with the reset and things changing, it's still pick up, it's still drop off, and there are countless opportunities out there for every single one of you in the gig apps and outside of them. I will see you guys next Sunday. Plan on having a show next week, and I'll see you in the future content coming up this week. Have a great night.